5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
A game in which they led throughout until there were 0.3 of a second to play in game one on a Halliburton rainbow jumper, losing 111-110. They show that rebounding prowess, unbeaten following losses. That remains intact as the Thunder win game two big, 123-107 over the Indiana Pacers.
Thank you, Thunder Radio. So many impressive things about the OKC Thunder, yet I don't think this series is anywhere near over, and I think the Pacers will still leave their mark on this NBA Finals. Good morning, Perloff. How was your weekend?
Oh, it was good. Last night was an interesting game because the Thunder kind of fixed everything that went wrong in game one. So they didn't get killed on the glass. People other than SGA scored. Chet Holmgren played like Chet Holmgren again.
Yeah.
So what I worry about is the Thunder are like a piece of clay. Like they're being molded throughout these playoffs and they get better, which is interesting to me. Like you would think, oh, they're an NBA Finals team, but they've honestly improved so much just this postseason. So I think even this version of Thunder that you saw last night is going to be better by the end of the series. Therefore, I'm declaring the series over.
Oh, wow.
But no, I think OKC is actually even going to play better than they did last night as the series continues.
I would say the same exact thing about the Pacers, though. No, the Pacers are not the team that the Thunder have been all season long. They're not this historic team that has this amazing defense and, just suffocating their opponent. But the Pacers haven't even played well. They didn't play well in game one, got that win. They did not play well last night. Halliburton has to start looking for his shot much earlier in the game. I'm not saying anything that hasn't been said, but he's got to start looking for his shot. He was 2 for 7 through the first 3 quarters of the game last night, then finally started scoring in the fourth quarter. And all these big comebacks that have been the calling card of the Indiana Pacers, for some reason, Rick Carlisle pulls everybody with like a little over, 5.5 minutes left to go?
4 minutes, I think.
Okay,
yeah.
just about.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 minutes, that's when things just start getting interesting for Indiana. So I was a little surprised by that.
It was 17 points at the 4-minute mark exactly. I noted it.
Right
That's
where they wanted them.
Pretty big comeback.
Well, but think about it, right? The Pacers, I say that sort of in jest, but not really. I mean, the Pacers have won 5 games in this postseason when they've trailed by 15 points or more. They have won 3 games this postseason when they've trailed by 7 with 3 minutes or less. I mean, this is a team that has made it their thing to play everything down to the wire. But anyway, even with last night gone, series is now tied 1-1. You're heading back to Indiana. Again, not over by a long shot, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just think the Thunder really kind of screwed up game one. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Indiana said to the Thunder, we're going to let SGA shoot every time and hope that the other 4 players become sort of disinterested and fade out of the game. And that's exactly what happened.
Yep.
So Mark Daigneault made some adjustments and they just upped their – see, they had 25 assists compared to 13 in game one. They started moving the ball. They still don't move the ball to my liking. Like they're the opposite of the Golden State Warriors. They're pretty much an iso ball team. But last night they spread the ball around a lot. SGA obviously dribbles wherever he wants, and he was looking for guys. So I think everybody's going to start to play better other than SGA. So Chet Holmgren woke up.
Yep.
I think I think that Jalen Williams is going to play better from here on out. He looked better in the second half last night. So I just think the Oklahoma City Thunder, we haven't even seen their A game. I understand what you're saying about the Pacers and Halliburton and Shoemore. I think the Thunder are just going to get better as the series goes on too.
As this now will transition to Indianapolis, do you think you're getting the same thing from Aaron Wiggins? I mean, Caruso seems like he's kind of a lock on defense, but 20 points last night, that you can't pencil that in every night.
But the thing is, there's always somebody. It doesn't. Aaron Wiggins might as well be Caruso. Like there's eight Aaron Wiggins on that team. There's always somebody who gets hot. That's the magic of the Thunder is they go 10 deep with guys on a given day. It's their style of play too. Yeah, definitely. They're going to find someone else to do that.
So you could weigh in at 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. I'm also curious because not everyone's really interested in like TV ratings or stuff like that. I'm not going to get too in the weeds on it, but there was a report that game one, Pearl, was one of the least watched finals games that we've had in a long, long time. I'm curious because of how the game ended and because of social media now, a lot of people will have seen how that game ended with a Halliburton game winner. Did that make people tune in for game two? Like, is this going to just be more of a slow burn for an audience, because I'm curious if there's people out there who did not watch game one, but then saw what happened and thought, all right, I'm going to tune in last night, and then you got an 18-point loss.
Well, Sunday night, if you can't rate on Sunday night, you're never going to rate. Look at the NFL and Sunday Night Football.
Sure.
But I think the problem is not the market size. I hear that a lot, but there's a lot of proof that small markets could get great ratings. I think the problem is parity. We've never seen casual fans have not seen the Thunder in the finals. They sure haven't seen the Pacers in the finals.
Sure.
So what is the familiarity?
Right.
I mean, yes, hardcore NBA heads, of course, know these teams really well. But the casual fan has never heard of SGA until this year. So I think that it's going to take time. I think by the third championship, the Thunder will rate.
Finally broken through.
I don't think the ratings are going to explode.
That's all it takes, guys. But this one and two more. Meanwhile, it's 1-1.
Adam Silver sits there and brags about the salary cap system and how it's created parity. The reality is, for basketball, I think you need superstars who people come back for. Like, you need LeBron, you need Curry, you need Jordan, you need Kobe. I just think that SGA's got to, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has to do that. Otherwise, the ratings are not going to be there. I don't think it's the market size. I don't think it's the state of the NBA. I think it's like, do people really know this team?
No, it just feels like a random finals. I'll give you that. Like, there is no history between OKC and Indiana. Here's the thing. Now, this could have been a Halliburton finals. It was trending towards that, because you start putting together this, what we call in the industry, a sizzle reel of all of his game winners and heroics, and it looks like an all-time, you're watching a Gatorade commercial. It doesn't even feel like real life.
People still could be.
What's that?
Still could be that. Yeah, you said that in the past tense. I mean, who knows?
I know. See, this is the one thing. Well, I still think this is going to go, are we going 6 here? Are we going 7? I don't know. But I do have to give the one thing I am so impressed by from OKC. While I say I think they're still vulnerable in this series, but one thing I do want to give them a shout out for. When the Pacers have landed these knockout blows, which has been these crazy game winners, happened again, EJ and Manny's Knicks. And what happened is it manifested, it rolled over into game 2. This is 3 series in a row that the Pacers went up 2-0 on their opponent, winning both on the road. And I think because of the shock sometimes of them winning these games in the last second, it's almost like you don't have enough time, and you haven't like fully unpacked it, if you will. Not like we're doing therapy here, but kind of like you're still shocked. And it's continued into the second game, and now all of a sudden Indiana would have been up 2-0.
Right.
Credit to OKC. Yep. They responded in a way that was like, oh, you punched us in the mouth. Let's bury your heads. And again, a lot of series left to play, in my opinion, but how they responded was better than some of the other teams in the Eastern Conference.
It's a great point. The Knicks lost 2 games on that shot to hit the back of the rim. That's an expression in sports. Right. I totally agree with that. The Thunder, to their credit, I think here's the thing. I don't think that Rick Carlisle is going to coach circles around the Oklahoma City staff the way that he sort of did in the Eastern Conference. Even though he did go up against some, I think he went up against Spoelstra, Doc Rivers, and not Spoelstra.
No, Doc Rivers and Kenny Atkinson.
Kenny Atkinson, yeah. So he had some good coaches, but I think that Oklahoma City's adjustments, as I said earlier, that's the key. Like, they did not fold like the Knicks did in that game too. I could have an annoying take on this too.
Okay, annoying in a fun way, or annoying in a we're gonna be annoyed kind of way?
Annoying. You won't be annoyed, but a lot of NBA fans would be annoyed.
Oh.
Like, I watched the Thunder. I'm like, man, if Golden State had stayed healthy and Denver was fully healthy, I don't know if this team would even be there. Oh,
don't do that. You've been Mr. OKC this whole season.
They're really good. They're really good,
Sorta.
but I kind of wondered if they were a year away. Like, Golden State with a healthy Curry would have been an interesting series. And then Denver, if everybody could stay healthy, probably a more talented team. So anyway, I watched last night.
I hate this.
Yeah, I knew you would hate that.
The Pacers are probably becomes Mr. Asterisk.
Pacers are probably like the 9th best team in the West or something.
Well, but listen, you can't judge the Pacers that way. You
think they're better than the Clippers?
Yes.
I don't know. Clippers got Kawhi and Harden.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
You gotta get rid of the whole Eastern Conference. That whole thing. Are
you insane? What are you talking about?
That narrative is trash.
I think so too.
Are you? Wait.
The Minnesota Timberwolves got to the Western Conference Finals. Give me a break.
The Pacers have if they won the series, it'd be
stunk.
If the Pacers won the series, they'd have the least wins of any champion since the '95 Rockets. This is not a great
Right,
team.
but that's because they started the year slow, Perloff. This is 82-game season. In the calendar year, they've been the best team in the NBA besides the Thunder.
That's
I think
30
it's true.
years.
I also think that the regular season is not being treated the way that it was 30 years ago, or even the last 10 years. The regular season is different, guys. A team comes to town, you're not even sure you're getting your best on best. Teams have agendas. They've got to sit guys. Someone needs rest. Somebody can only play this many minutes. Somebody's tanking. It's everything under the sun. And there were
totally
plenty of
disagree
teams
with you.
in the Western Conference who were outright tanking this year.
There's so many good players in the West that are not in the East. I mean, honestly,
But what about teams?
Well, these teams are good. Look at the play-in teams in the West. It was the Mavericks, Kings, Grizzlies, and Warriors. Ja Morant was in the play-in. The play-in in the East was the Magic, the leftover Heat, the Atlanta Hawks, and the Bulls.
But that's a play-in. Those teams aren't. None of those teams are going to win a championship.
Half these play-in teams are dream teams. In the
Kings and the Grizzlies are not championship teams. The Mavs, they were railing from Luka. Like, you're talking about teams that are also terrible.
Grizzlies had the same record as Indiana. You don't think they could compete in the East?
They got swept in the first round.
Yes, in the West.
Right.
The Grizzlies would do just fine in the East. They would have been a really dangerous team in the East.
Oh, my gosh.
They had the same exact record as the Pacers.
I know, but you got to look at the Pacers from basically the All-Star break on.
Right.
It has been different. And, I mean...
They would be one of the great upsets of all time. I think you guys are viewing the Pacers a little differently than reality.
No. I said it would be one of the great upsets of all time. The betting market would tell you that. The odds were super steep for Indiana. Closed the gap a little bit after they won game one. But the bottom of each conference stinks.
No, not the bottom of the West. I mean, the bottom.
Utah stinks.
But then again, the bottom of the playoff field is good. Like KD didn't even make the playoffs. There's a lot of stars.
They're not good. Those are bad teams.
They're not good teams.
They basically would have probably been a player in the East. I'm just telling you, the East stinks.
Can I bring up another point, though? And maybe this is where the disconnect is. I feel like with OKC, even though they've got Shai and he's the MVP and he's on this having this all-time season, it's been more about teams as opposed to players. And we're going to see that this offseason. We're going to see how this manifests, because our team's going to move heaven and earth for Kevin Durant? Doubt it. Maybe Giannis, still in his prime. But the idea of the super team, because of a lot of factors, could be going away. So you're saying, give me star power, give me star power. That might not be the model for the NBA going forward. It's more about complete teams as opposed to give me your big three, because your big three is going to be super expensive, and it's going to be really punitive now with all these new rules that I won't bore everybody with.
Yeah, I think you guys are downgrading the West. I think the Clippers would have been a really good competitive team. I mean, they took the Nuggets to 7 games. That's a great Nuggets team who was still healthy at the time. I just think there's a Lakers who were good at times, the Warriors, if they stayed healthy.
The Nuggets fired their coach.
I was
How do you say they're a great team?
I don't think they were a great Nuggets team.
They have Jokic.
Well, they have a great
team.
player.
You said great
Do
team.
you think the Nuggets could have gotten out of the East?
You said they were a great team.
Could the Nuggets have gotten out of the East?
They didn't get out of the West. It doesn't matter. What do you mean?
But we're talking about which conference is better. What do you mean? What do you mean?
No,
That's an obvious analogy right there.
No, you're making hypotheticals up that really are kind of like irrelevant. Like they lost in the semifinal. Like they had a shot to beat the Thunder. They lost. Okay, fine. But I don't know what we're doing here.
I say the West is way better than the East, and a team like the Nuggets would have gotten out of the East.
Okay, so it's funny because I think it's a little revisionist now, and you can call us at 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. But I think Perloff is trying to say Oklahoma City now has had the harder path, right? You're trying to say?
Trying to say. There's no trying to say. Any sports fan understands that analogy to say that the Nuggets would have gotten out of the East.
Okay, but
that's obvious.
I get you, but I'm just going back to when that was that 7th game in OKC. Denver was terrible in the second half of Game 7, and OKC marches on. Did anyone say we just watched the de facto Western Conference Final? Did anyone say we just watched that should have been the finals?
Yes.
Nobody said that.
Really?
We were not saying that.
I assumed everyone thought it was over after they got through.
No, because Aaron Gordon got hurt. This Denver team felt like it was discombobulated from when EJ mentioned they fired Michael Malone. It was
you said
odd.
that you hated Russell Westbrook. I don't know what
Russell will never win.
I don't know when the Thunder. I don't know when the Nuggets became the dream team. I'm sorry.
But when the Thunder beat the Nuggets, everyone said the NBA playoffs are over. Right? I mean,
nobody said that.
No, I don't think so.
That?
People didn't believe much in Minnesota. I'll give you that. But that was Boston was still a thing then. Cleveland I don't think had been eliminated at that point. These were good teams.
But generally, Cleveland. I mean,
they won 64 games. I mean, That's
Anyway.
what I'm trying to say. Like, I feel like, yes, you want to talk about the bottom of the East?
You guys,
Sure.
the way you argue, like, I think I'm in the strong majority of this that thinks the West is way better than the East. Like, not just the majority, like the strong majority.
Okay, well, I guess then I'll ask you this. You think then the series is over?
I would.
Will Indiana win another game? Because if you think they're so far and away better.
I think they will win the series.
But
I
if
think
the East so bad, why don't they gentlemen sweep them like you said they would?
they might. I just really. So you guys should bet your whole life saving on the Pacers if you think the East is this giant beast out there.
No, but it was before this started. I believe what you said was this is going to feel like when the Lakers played the Nets.
Right. Or the Lakers. Did they play the Pacers once too? Yeah, it feels very much like that to me.
But does it feel like that now that you've seen 2 games?
Yeah.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476, because I don't think that OKC has been dominant by any stretch. No way. They haven't played great.
I mean, they've been
Better last
leading.
night.
They've been leading for what? How many minutes are a game? For 96 minutes out of 95 minutes. Yeah, they've been Did they actually? Were they trailing it all last time? Maybe they were.
No, the first time they took the lead in game 1 was with the 0.3 seconds.
Right. Right. Did the Pacers get a little bit of a lead
Maybe
early
in the first quarter,
Yeah.
but after that, it was all Thunder.
Yeah, I mean,
You don't think this series looks different in Indiana? You know it will.
it does. But you guys, I mean, I think you're underrating the West in a serious way. Like the amount of stars in the West and the amount of players.
I think that's the thing. Maybe where me and Maggie differ. You're naming stars.
Yeah.
I'm talking about teams. Like, yes, the West has names, but a lot of those names didn't do much. Like, I don't know how you look at those teams. Like,
Yeah, Anthony Edwards was not great in the Western Conference
Memphis was
Finals.
getting beat by 40 in the playoffs.
By the
Like,
way-
that was not a good team.
And they fired their coach right
They
before
also
the
fired their
playoff.
coach. Like, who are these great teams that we're missing?
Well, Curry got hurt.
Right, but that's basketball. Like,
Yeah.
the Warriors built an old, broken down team. Like, I hate the whole, like, well, if they would have stayed healthy, would have won. Well, like, if Steph Curry was 4 or 5 years younger and Jimmy Butler was 4 or 5 years younger, yeah, they probably would be a dynasty. They chose that roster. Yeah, like, it's not like, oh, they chose, like, oh, they got it's a guy who's in his prime and he got hurt in his prime. Like, they chose that roster. They took that risk. Like, I don't think it's fair. I mean, the Rockets were the number 2 seed. The Rockets are a great team. You kept saying that they were going to lose. So when the West all of a sudden become a bunch of teams, like it's like 2001 again.
But a lot of these teams would have had, like, they would have gotten a team they could destroy in the first round, like the Knicks, and been, like, rested. Like, the Warriors probably would have swept the Knicks and had able to rest Curry a little bit.
Pacers' biggest lead was 3 points yesterday late in the first quarter.
Yeah, I just think the West is different. And it's going to be even worse next year. It's going to be...
You think the Rockets would have come out of these?
Oh, easily.
Okay.
By the way, the Rockets would have been a factor in the East, too.
Is the
They were number 2
balance?
seed in the West. They got knocked out in the first round.
I've seen Fred VanVleet run through that conference in the postseason way too many times to take him lightly.
Had a healthy Kawhi next to him.
But you guys laugh like they're better record than the Knicks and the Pacers. I just think there's a big imbalance right now, and honestly, everybody's saying that. You guys are acting like people don't think the West is way better than the East.
I think that you're also just discounting the fact that the reigning champs got hurt. And they are a good team. I don't know what's going to happen next. Obviously, next year and the crossroads that the Celtics are on is totally different. Maybe I was the fool. I did think the Cavs were a good team. I didn't think that was wrong.
And they got injured. To be fair, like we keep talking about the Cavs.
Milwaukee got injured.
They lost 2 All-Stars.
Oh, Milwaukee. Come on.
Listen, Giannis is going to be the prize of the offseason if he actually gets moved. And, listen, like EJ said, you make your team, but the Dame Lillard acquisition looked like a panic move in the moment.
Snitches get stitches.
He hasn't been healthy at all.
Who's their coach? Get out of here with Milwaukee.
888-710-4ISN. So what are you saying here? This is
I think to the point where it's a problem for the NBA. The West is so much better than the East. There's so many. Next year, it's going to be night and day. It's like a varsity and JV.
It's over, ladies.
Because Boston's going away for a little while.
Yeah,
because
well, it's
Tatum's
also-
not really going to be a thing next year.
I mean, you're talking about stars in the West versus stars in the East. Stars on your team didn't come through. There were a couple stars sitting in Philadelphia that did absolutely jack squat. So there is star power in the Eastern Conference as well.
I'm an idiot.
I also feel like it's very convenient because the Thunder are so good to say the West is so great. I think the Thunder are one team, and then there's everybody else.
The fact that the Warriors were in the play-in tournament speaks to me. I mean, they had a lot of 50-win teams in the West.
No, they had a terrible first half, and then they made a trade that changed their whole team. That was not a good team. Nobody came into the season saying the Warriors are some championship contender. They traded for Jimmy Butler because Jimmy Butler decided he was going to get himself out of Miami. They weren't playing because of how they built their team coming into the season.
But you don't think they would do well in the East?
But they still would have. I don't know if they would have been in the play-in, but they still would not have been a high seed. My point is, they were not. That was not a deep team. They had
the same amount of wins basically as the Pacers.
Right after they traded for Jimmy Butler is my point. Before that, they were not good. They were
weren't 500. Yeah,
that was a bad team.
Freaking bum.
And I love Steph Curry. I would gladly.
I would just warn you. You realize you are siding with a Knicks fan in an East versus West argument.
No, I'm with myself. I mean, EJ and I are more aligned on this because I think that I watched Minnesota and I was not impressed. And I saw Minnesota in the Western Conference Finals. I was like, oh, you're telling me that the Knicks wouldn't have played them tough? You're telling me that...
Minnesota is a big, long team. And I just think that the Knicks are okay.
But here's the thing. Minnesota wasn't even close against OKC. I'm telling you and sitting here this morning that I think that Indiana is actually not that far off. I realize they lost by a lot last night, but I don't think they're as far off as Minnesota was not in the same planet, I feel like, as OKC.
Oh, for sure.
I think that's most of the West besides Denver. Like, I think that's what would have happened to pretty much every team that they would have played.
I think the question, are you putting some kind of asterisk or something on this OKC? Because, Perloff, you seem to think that OKC is playing against the JV.
Yeah,
Does
totally.
this still feel like the varsity versus the JV? 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. I don't see it that way. It doesn't seem like the Western Conference is varsity and the Eastern Conference is JV to me.
Could LeBron and the Lakers have gotten out of the East? I think is an interesting hypothetical.
Listen.
Is Luka gonna get hurt again? Again, that's what I'm saying. We're putting names on paper and saying, well, what happened? This happened. It's like Luka gonna pull his calf in the middle of the playoff series, and then no.
I just think Luka probably could have manned up and gotten to the second round and whatever.
888-710-4ISN. Are we talking about finish the plate, Luka? Are we talking about
Could Kawhi have swept the Knicks? I think that's a good hypothetical. Kawhi looked good this playoff. You got to get. You can't. You said nothing about the Clippers. The Clippers are a good team.
No, I said that. I said they're not as good as the Thunder.
You don't think the Clippers could have made the Eastern Conference Finals, Maggie? I saw that smirk.
No, the smirk is this. You're like, the Clippers are a great team. The Clippers are a disappointing team. And there's no other way to slice it. They might be good, but if you're saying they've got all this star power and X, Y, and Z and Ty Lue, one of the highest paid coaches in the league, well, where is it?
Stick them in the East, and they'll be in the Eastern Conference Finals.
I watched James Harden in the East. He couldn't get out of the second round.
He
was playing alongside the MVP of the league that year.
They have Kawhi Leonard. What's the last thing he did when he was in the East?
When was the 10 years ago.
When was the last time he played beyond the second round of the playoffs without getting hurt? You think he would have stayed healthy the whole playoffs? Why?
Well, he at least could have stayed healthy in the conference finals. He looked great this postseason. He looked like a slightly older Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. It's still the varsity versus the JV, East versus West. Lots to do today. We have tons of football for you, both the NFL and college. I've got a warning for everybody. I don't know. We don't want to play like buzzers and sirens and stuff. It's too early for that kind of thing, and it's annoying.
I also don't think you can play sirens on the radio, but I digress.
Fair. Manny turning into a safety net on this show. Never thought that'd be. Never thought I'd see the day.
Love you, FCC.
Manny's like, I don't think that's a good idea. Look at you being a producer. I do have a warning, though. It's a big one, and it's coming for your team. 888-710-4ISN.
I'm tired of being a loser.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Manny woke up, eyes full of dread. His yellow little bat was gone from the shed. He checked the closet, the fridge, the cat. Where in the world is my beautiful bat? Oh, Manny, Manny, don't you cry. That bat's not gone, it's just Shai hiding out in the laundry mat. A happy reunion with your yellow bat. He searched the yard, he searched the van, even shook hands with a raccoon named Stan. Just when he sighed, well, that is that, he heard a thud, sweet mercy, my bat. Under the couch, behind old shoes, next to a sock from 92, there it lay with a dusty hat, the glorious glow of his yellow bat. Manny's back, he's swinging fine, but Peter Belotti's still wasting time. He's got more sick days than a house cat, never shows up and still gets a hat. Now EJ better keep his guard up tight. Manny's got his bat and a wild swing of fright. He's calling his shots, he's ready to spat. You're next at the plate and I'm bringing the smack. Even Uncle Sam raised up his can, shouted, that's my boy, you're the bat swinging man. He danced in flip-flops, tripped on a mat, but smiled through it all, the bat is back. Oh, Manny, Manny, swing it proud, you found your bat, now cheer out loud. No more tears, no more spat, just Manny and his yellow bat. He searched the yard, he searched the van, even shook hands with a raccoon named Stan. Just when he sighed, well, that is that, he heard a thumb, sweet mercy, my bat. Under the couch, behind old shoes, next to a sock from 92, there it lay with a dusty hat, the glorious glow of his yellow bat. Manny's back, he's swinging fine, but Peter Belotti's still wasting time. He's got more sick days than a house cat, never shows up and still gets a hat. Now EJ better keep his guard up tight. Manny's got his bat and a wild swing of fright. He's calling his shots, he's ready to spat. You're next at the plate and I'm bringing the smack. Beanie's back, he's swinging fine, but Peter Belotti's still wasting time. He's got more sick days than a house cat, never shows up and still gets a hat. Now EJ better keep his guard up tight. Manny's got his bat and a wild swing of fright. He's calling his shots, he's ready to spat. You're next at the plate and I'm bringing the smack. Even Uncle Sam raised up his can, shouted, that's my boy, you're the bat swinging man. He danced in flip-flops, tripped on a mat, but smiled through it all, the bat is back. Oh, Manny, Manny, swing it proud, you found your bat, now cheer out loud. No more tears, no more spat, just Manny and his yellow bat.
One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie Perloff. That was a heated argument in the first segment about which is better, the Eastern Conference or the Western Conference.
That escalated quickly.
The numbers are crazy. Since 2003, the West has won at a pace of 56% to 44%. They have, this is amazing, 315 All-NBA odds compared to 204. And they got Cooper Flag coming next year and Giannis coming next year. So,
well, we don't know about Giannis.
Don't know about Giannis.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
But they have Wembanyama on his way up. It is I think that Adam Silver said he likes parity, but the West, if you thought the West was better this year, and record-wise they were much better this year, it should be decidedly better next year. Lakers retool a little bit. Golden State retools a little bit. There's going to be a migration to the West of old stars because there are a lot of teams who desperately need to win one more title. So we'll see. 50-win Pacers. Maybe they make this a series and prove me wrong. But it does feel to me like the West is the ascending conference. You got Houston and San Antonio. You got Dallas now with Cooper Flagg. You obviously have the teams that are still around, like the Lakers, Warriors, and then this possible dynasty in the Thunder. Let's not discount them.
Yeah, I think that it's hard to say. It's hard right now for the East to put up, if you're talking about the future. I mean, Boston just took a significant hit, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, with Tatum going down, Brown is now in every trade, rumor possible.
And
new
Horford
ownership.
and Holiday are have to retire at some point.
I mean, listen, in a rosy glow, maybe you feel like the Knicks made the right decision to fire Tom Thibodeau. Maybe they upgrade there. Cleveland's not going anywhere. I don't think Donovan Mitchell's getting traded. Detroit's on the way up. So
Cleveland's I think Cleveland could make a move. I think they could lose Mitchell or Mobley.
And by the way, if you want to read the rumor mill, it's not deep online, but it's deep with the NBA insiders, that apparently Toronto is locked, loaded, ready to make some kind of crazy deal too. So maybe we get something north of the border. And then your 76ers, if they can, crawl out of the mess that they've made for themselves.
What do you mean by that?
I do want to quickly say I there's a warning out there that I'm firing, and I want to get to it just quickly, even though it's a much bigger story. But I'm curious if college football and basketball fans are getting a little nervous if you're paying attention to the news with this new settlement that happened between the NCAA and the power conferences.
Nervous about what?
Nervous about the future here and what's going to happen with teams. First of all, the haves and the have-nots getting way, a chasm basically that's going to be growing between teams that have any kind of money and programs, that have any kind of money and those that don't. And the idea that, NIL and all these things were going to create more parity now looks like it could create less, because you're going to have athletic departments now coming up with the majority of the money. Any kind of name, image, and likeness deal has to be subject to approval of a new committee that's just been formed that's going to take effect on July 1st. And basically, you're going to try, college football, college basketball, major college sports is going to try to get a lot more guardrails going on. And it's probably going to lead to more lawsuits. It's probably going to lead to more confusion. But if you're somebody who gives to your university, they're going to come back around with their hands out, probably double. And two, if you're somebody that's rooting for a group of five or a lower tier, I went to George Washington. Bogusch got his Fordham shirt on.
They don't even have a football team.
I understand, but it's going to be harder for
George Washington to compete in football. It's going to be really hard.
Undefeated.
Step one, get a football team. Step two.
They're going to play.
Step two, get helmets.
What's up with that?
Yeah.
Step three, find a field.
Find Coach Saban to come in and lead the whole thing.
I got a GM for it if they need.
Step two, get helmets. That would be a huge. Step six, mouth guards.
Do you realize the last time they played football, the helmets were leather? I'm not just taking about my alma mater. I'm just saying it's weird times right now in college sports. It's about to get weirder.
There's just absolutely no way that you can't have more parity than 15 years ago when Alabama made 9 straight college football playoffs.
That's not my fault.
It used to be the payrolls were much, much more weighted towards the SEC.
And black bags.
The black market pay.
Unmarked
bills.
I
think that's why for basically 20 years we got the same 4 teams in the college football playoff. Obviously, parity struck recently, so Alabama fell off their pedestal. I think there's a lot to be determined, but there's going to be more revenue sharing. I would worry about parity. I understand the smaller schools are worried because of lower budgets, but in theory, this should even out. I still think it evened out the playing field. So a lesser Big Ten team or a lesser SEC team can poach some of the backups on Alabama and Georgia.
So one other part of this that I think for fans, if you don't care about the dollar amounts and the X's and O's, but one other thing for fans that I'm really curious how this is going to work is, let's say now any name, image, and likeness, you want to do a deal with Nike or Gatorade or Bob's car dealership or whatever, it's got to be subject to approval. Well, what happens with the NCAA, who's ultimately running this committee? There's some lag time, and anything over $600 has to be reported. So I'm old enough to remember, and I was literally in their building when this happened, days before the SEC championship game, when we weren't sure if Cam Newton was going to be eligible to play because his dad had allegedly taken some money to help with their church or whatever. And it came down to the wire.
Wait, Cecil Newton was helping with the church?
That's what they said. To laugh that heartily.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Anyway, that was not the point of this. I don't know how they spent the money. The point was that the money got offered or handed over or whatever.
Come on, man.
And it came down to the wire whether Cam was going to play in that SEC championship game.
Right.
Spoiler, he did. They end up going on to win the national title. He's the number one pick in the draft. But is this going to happen again? Where this committee now is going to be deciding whether or not quarterback from X school before the college football playoff actually took $1,000 from, some burger joint in some college town somewhere and it never got approved or what have you, and they're going to sit before a huge game?
It's a great question. I'm not sure. I mean, because obviously the Congress doesn't like the NCAA. So here's the question. You leave a quarterback out of the bowl game or a college football playoff game. Isn't somebody going to sue you for antitrust immediately?
There's a lot here. Let's get to Andrew Bogusch, who's got headlines for us. It was a busy weekend.
Guys, good morning. All these headlines are sponsored, as usual, by Progressive Insurance. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within reach with our easy-to-use mobile app. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com. Arch is coming out. Part of the Thunder's problem in Game 1 of the finals was limited production after Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That was not an issue in Game 2 last night.
Right wing dub, cross court left to Wiggins. Sets himself for another angle left three-pointer. Gets that! Thunder offense getting wiggy with it, baby, in Game 2. He has 17 points, including 5 3-pointers.
Matt Pinto on Thunder Radio. Aaron Wiggins scored 18. Alex Caruso had 20 off the OKC bench. Within the starting 5, Jalen Williams scored 19. Chet Holmgren had 15 points and 6 boards, all leading the Thunder to a 123-107 series-tying decision over those Pacers. SGA on the better O.
We were a little bit sticky last game, but you have games like that. It sucks to be on this stage and have games like that, but it is what it is. It's where we are, right? It's where our feet are, and all you can do is try to be better for the next one.
And the ball
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Definitely less sticky yesterday with 40 assists as a team, and the MVP scored 34, giving him 72 points in this series, the most anyone has scored over their first 2 career finals games. The Thunder, PS, still haven't lost back-to-back meaningful games since November. Now, Game 3 is in Indiana on Wednesday night. The Pacers will be looking for more from their MVPs. Tyrese Halliburton had just 5 points through 3 quarters last night, finishing on 17. Pascal Siakam missed 8 of 11 shots, scoring just 15 total.
Did you guys see the thing about, sorry to interrupt, about Shai passing 3,000 points for the season? The regular season plus the playoffs. So he joined some crazy company here. It's like Michael Jordan, Wilt Chamberlain, Bob McAdoo, Elgin Baylor, Harden, Kareem, Kevin Durant, Kobe, Luka, Shaq. No LeBron. I was shocked by that.
Wait, explain this stat. So
3,000 points with a regular season and a postseason, and you got every great name under the sun here.
No bad names, no random guys.
Rick Barry, I think, but Rick Barry wasn't bad.
He
was awesome. So
he was awesome. 2 finals, right?
I mean, does our intern know who Rick Barry was? Like you asked me random.
You have to get to the finals. You have to be alive. So. Early LeBron, when he scored a lot, probably didn't have enough playoff life. Is that what happened?
10 finals trips? I mean, LeBron never got 3,000 points in a season. I read 3 different articles about this and never saw LeBron on it.
Okay.
And it's funny because it's ironic that he's the scoring champ of the
Shai
whole league.
Gilgeous 32.7 at this point. Is that the highest total for any MVP to win? I saw some stat it'd be like a record total. LeBron's averaged 30 twice in his career. And he didn't go far one of the years. But one of them was 2000. He averaged 30 in 2021. Did anyone know that?
Year after the bubble title?
Is that crazy or what? But he only played 56 games. So he's not a
Still
scorer. He's a
incredible.
passer. Remember the early commercials on Nike? He doesn't want to shoot Maggie. Your guy. He wants to pass the ball.
I know. Yet somehow passed Kareem for most points ever in the history of the league.
You're saying compiler?
Hanger on. Sunday night baseball in the Bronx. The Red Sox slugging their way to a series win over the Yankees.
Rodon to Belt. He throws. Narvaez swings and drives one high and deep into left field. It is back. It is gone. Carlos Narvaez, 3-run bomb.
A go-ahead 3-run bomb and a 5-run sixth. Boston taking the rubber game of this series 11-7, going deep 5 times total. Paul Skeens did it again yesterday, 7 2/3, 1 unearned run and 7 Ks, lowering his ERA to 1.88. But again, no W for him, but at least the team got one, 2-1 over the Phillies.
I think we've been playing pretty good ball for a little bit now, and either haven't come out with them or lost by a run or something like that in a few games. So I've been happy with the baseball we've been playing. It's nice to finally get some wins out of it too.
That guy's begging for help in that clip.
He's begging for personality in that clip.
Oh, come on.
Works with Livy, man.
Manny, you hear a hostage kind of situation here?
Yeah, indubitably.
The Pirates have won 3 in a row, while those Phillies have dropped their last 5, 9 of their last 10.
Oops. Quick baseball question. How on earth you get swept by the Pirates? What is going on?
Look inward.
Bryce Harper back on the IL again?
Yes. I hate baseball again. When the Phillies are good, I love it. Yeah, you guys like that where your whole baseball happiness depends on your team? Of course.
Yankees are consistently in the playoffs. I mean,
Manny's always in a bad mood.
That's true, and my team is consistently in the playoffs. So
I saw
That's a you problem there, man.
Oh, is it?
I saw a stat from our friend Andrew Filippone who said Paul Skeens has a 1.93 ERA through his first 37 starts. That is the best start to a career by a pitcher in over 100 years.
Okay, so you're not into raspberries.
I mean,
show me the wins, EJ.
Wins
Don't
is
have
how you
them.
really judge a starting pitcher now. That's insane. 100 years?
I mean, he's that
1.93
good.
ERA, 37 starts.
You guys are trying to downgrade his personality. Like that matters.
It should matter a little
I mean,
bit.
It doesn't.
To be fair, you really, if you could put a 2-burger on the scoreboard, you've beat the Pirates. So you don't have to be super aggressive offensively.
2-burger. I haven't heard that in years.
Yeah. I do think the Pirates play into that a little bit. I'm sorry that I'm being a hater there. But honestly, if you're not going to be wildly aggressive if you need 3 runs to blow out the Pirates.
Wow, that's the take on Paul Skeens?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see when he comes to the Yankees how long that elbow lasts.
Oh, boy.
Why are you like this?
This is just what's going on with you today?
Oh, wait. You guys think that, like, Paul Skeens isn't going to come to New York and be a disappointment? Are you crazy?
Why would it be a disappointment?
Because it's New York.
But he still has to face, he's facing Major League hitting.
You guys know how baseball pitching works?
No, but the ERA is the ERA. Like, you don't think he'll be able to handle New York?
Boom, boom, boom,
or
boom.
LA or something? It's like, no, he's a star.
He's
He'll
definitely
be
be a
fine.
Dodger, by the way.
Yeah, I was
The
going
way
to say
this
that.
is going.
Yeah, same thing will happen.
Yeah, he's going to be a Dodger.
I like my theory. There's less pressure to score against the Pirates who play less aggressively on offense.
I don't think baseball works like that.
Oh, it totally does. It's a much more complicated game.
So you think they're not trying hard enough?
Like the opponents aren't trying?
Basically, they're up like 2-0. Let's sit our best players. No,
like
but
in the
I
most
do think
individual sport
I do
possible,
think
you
this-
think guys aren't trying?
I do think these numbers will translate differently in different situations. I feel like he's in Pittsburgh. There's no pressure at all. He's killing it. Yeah,
So
I
he's
mean,
not Jacob DeGrom.
That part, I agree a little more.
He's great. He's an all-time pitcher. There's no doubt about it. But I do think that it's easy. It's not easy. It's a little easier to do this in Pittsburgh.
I do think playing for bad teams does make it less pressure for starters like Skeens. That I agree with.
Well, because
I've
you're not
always
playing
thought that.
meaningful games into the
Right.
fall. But I would say maybe it's the opposite. You feel like the whole team is riding on you. Like
Right.
you're the one thing.
Yeah, but I think there's a different pressure to pitching in games that matter. And no game Paul Skeens pitches and matters. That part I think is fair.
I get that. But also think about it. In theory, he'd be going to a better full team. So you actually have like a little bit, I'm going to say safety net, but you actually have some more backup,
Yeah,
right? Like someone
more
can actually
help.
put runs on the board for you. If you play with Aaron Judge, Not terrible. Thank you, folks. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. What is the definition of a sore loser? I think we found it. M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Easy MFE, you're back in the comments again? Bro, you hate my music but can't stop listening? You're more loyal than Peter Bellotti is to a time card. Easy MFE, more like easy to clown. Trolling in the threads trying to tear me down. Said my track's trash, that's rich, my guy, but you've replayed it twice, don't even lie. Still hiding behind that YouTube name, throwing shade like it's your Hall of Fame. You talk big, but work ethic's trash. Peter Bellotti shows up more than your facts. Easy takedown, easy fold, easy's courage, lukewarm cold. I drop beats, you drop med, yet every post you're still in my thread. Don't like my jams, why you streaming? You hate watch harder than Jets fans dreaming. Keep tapping, keep hating, it's fate. You're the unpaid intern of my clickbait. Easy's the tech to boo the Knicks draft and Google the pick straight telegraph. I'm prime time, you're dial-up lag. I'm Maggie's sarcasm, you're just a drag. Perloff, don't even know your name, you're that irrelevant in the sports talk game. Bellotti still MIA on the clock, but at least you don't troll from his mom's Xbox.
Easy MFE, always got time to hate on me, yet no one's seen you work since 03. Maybe you and Pete got a secret pact to never show up and never face facts.
Easy, you don't like the music? Cool, but you hit play like it's your daily fuel. Peter Bellotti's missing, but at least he's quiet. You just loud, wrong, and that I'm in your diet. Stands for endlessly zero, mostly feeling envious. Oh yeah. Always got time to hate on me, yet no one's seen you work since 03. Maybe you and Pete got a secret pact to never show up and never face facts. Perloff, don't even know your name. You hit play like it's your daily fuel. Peter Bellotti's missing, but at least he's quiet. You just loud, wrong, and mad I'm in your diet. Easy MFE stands for endlessly zero, mostly feeling envious. Bye. Bye.
2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Maggie Perloff Show. So glad to have you this morning. Hope you're doing great. Pearl, I know you have daughters who are participating in sports. At least one of them is.
Vaguely, yeah. Participating is a strong word, but participating, not excelling.
I said just they're there. And, you know, even though you're from Philadelphia, I imagine you are trying to teach them good sportsmanship.
Yeah, right. No, we're from Philadelphia. Yeah, it's actually not a priority for my daughters because they're good at sportsmanship. It's the actual...
Oh, sports.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then better than Aryna Sabalenka. So, obviously, this is tough. You lose the women's final of the French Open, and Sabalenka lost to Coco Gauff. So, go USA. American tennis on the women's side is phenomenal. But she says that this wasn't about Coco Gauff and how well Coco played. Sabalenka just blew it.
It's more windy and got more windy, and also I think I was over emotional, and I think today I didn't really handle myself quite well mentally, I would say. So basically that's it. I was just making unforced errors. Like, I don't know, I have to check the statistics. I think she won the match not because she played incredible, just because I made all of those mistakes.
That's funny.
Tough. More from Sabalenka. She said this finals performance was her worst in months.
It was really, honestly, the worst tennis I played in the last, I don't know how many months. And the conditions were terrible, and she simply was better in these conditions than me.
Wah, wah, wah. Well, kind of, you know. I mean, that's the thing about tennis, and anyone who's played it at any level knows that unless you're playing inside in some kind of air-conditioned bubble, Pearl, the conditions are part of it, you know?
But can I ask a question, though? Are we giving her a little bit of a break because I'm not sure English is her first language, and she's trying to put this together? Like, I couldn't do that in my second language.
So that's fair,
Yeah.
right? You want to have a little grace for people who are not speaking their first language. Also, maybe some grace for people who are still in the heat of it. This is right after the match, right? So she just sort of told you exactly how she felt. At the same time, I do think that when you're a professional, you know what the deal is, right? You understand. You've been here a million times. This is what separates the pros from the amateurs. This is why I wouldn't, necessarily knock a college kid, even though maybe they're not amateurs anymore. But you don't apply the same level of criticism to a college kid or a high school kid as opposed to a professional. Losing with class should be part of it. And this was not classy at all. Now, she's tried to walk some of this back, and she was just mad at herself, and I understand it. But I'm curious out there at 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Is this the definition of being a bad loser? And do you have a problem with it with professional athletes, or do you say, I don't care? EJ, you look like you want to say something.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously bad sportsmanship. I do feel like, it does bow that question that people ask is, are these things necessary? Like, do you need to hear from the person that just lost and is probably heartbroken and is probably going to say, if they're not really guarding their words, maybe things that, are a little unsavory. That's what I think a lot of athletes would say, that this is kind of a pointless exercise.
Right.
I disagree. I'm a member of the media. I think these are very important. I think they add context to these games and matches, and I think that a lot of times there's questions the fans want to hear. But the reality is, if you are in any locker room, like, whether you played youth basketball, youth tennis, whatever, like the stuff you hear in the locker room after a loss or whatever is nothing that you hear in a press conference. So this is a little bit more reality probably than what we would normally hear. So I think there's a little bit of like, oh my God, how could she say that? It's like, well, this is how a lot of athletes feel.
Yeah, I like it too, because you often get this from somebody who's English second language. You get crazy honesty.
Although Serena used to be pretty honest like this. She had moments where she'd be like, they weren't great. I just was terrible today. And she got criticized for it.
She killed Naomi Osaka, right?
I remember
that?
I think she did this once with Sharapova, but I'd have to go back and look. There's so many press conferences. It's just funny to me because it stood in such stark contrast to Jannik Sinner, who was standing out. I mean, an all-time collapse.
What a match.
What a match that was. We'll get more into it.
Yeah.
3 championship points, okay, on his racket, and he could not, or 3 championship points that he had that he couldn't capitalize on, Pearl, and ends up being, he was up 2 sets to none. He collapses. He loses in a 5th set tiebreaker and got destroyed, okay? He's standing out there saying, congratulations to my opponent. That takes a lot of composure and a lot of understanding the moment and not wanting to take away from someone else. You're right. Serena did get criticized for the Naomi Osaka kind of taking from her moment.
I remember she apologized. Yeah. But that's funny about Sinner, though. How did he actually speak when after that? I've never seen a choke that big in my entire life.
Oh, my goodness.
Are you kidding me, dude? I saw it in real time. I'm like, you can't hit your first serve. You're panicking right now.
He choked like the Knicks did in game 1.
Oh, my God. They're putting the camera on his mom. She's melting. She had to get up.
It's just a first serve. Just get it in.
Just get an ace, buddy. Come on.
Says Perloff from the couch, thousands and thousands of miles away. Okay, coming up, are the playoffs a lock for Aaron Rodgers?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Look out. The Eagle has landed. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Aaron Rodgers going to be introduced to the media tomorrow and the fans. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, taking time out from his busy podcast guesting schedule to attend. I'm just kidding. The question really now, Perloff, we can put everything in the back, right? How this all went down, whether or not the Pittsburgh Steelers, look good, look bad in this whole thing, how desperate they got for a quarterback. Rodgers is there now. Are they a playoff team with him?
I think so. So you can win a lot of money if you put them in the playoffs because the odds are not good.
No.
So it's 8.5 win team total. After Aaron Rodgers, it was 8.5 wins. So
Did not move.
Vegas does not buy into this. Listen, he's old. He looked bad physically last year. I don't think he looked bad as a quarterback all the time. He definitely was disappointing because the bar was high. I think he's going to be a different quarterback this year. I think he's going to be much, much more healthy. I think we're going to see the good numbers in the last month of the season will continue. He's famously careful with the ball, which Mike Tomlin likes. I think there's a formula where the Steelers get to the playoffs because Rodgers is not going to give the ball up and is going to let the defense win, assuming that the defense stays relatively healthy. I think this formula can result in 10, 11 wins and get you to the postseason.
I think it's going to go the same way it's gone with aging quarterbacks with the Steelers in the past. Whether it was Ben Roethlisberger at the end, whether it was Russell Wilson last year, you get off to a good start. You can look like you'd be an actual contender, just like they were, 10-3 before they went on their 5-game losing streak last year?
Shocked.
It was shocking.
Yeah.
But then they actually got into a hard part of the schedule, hard competition. Weather gets worse. They were one of the teams that had to play 3 games in 11 days. The wheels came off. Guys got hurt. And I think it's going to probably go a similar way. Now, they did make the playoffs again last year. I do think that comes to an end this year. And there's only so much more that I can give here to Rodgers in terms of belief. He's a 4-time MVP. He's going to walk into the Hall of Fame. I thought they were going to be a thing with the Jets. It did not happen. And I know that he's now, 20 or so more, 20 months maybe removed from the Achilles. And this is a conservative offense. I'm just sorry. Now he's got to prove it to me. I can't do the blind faith in Rodgers anymore because the nostalgia, while awesome for movies and TV shows and fashion and all that stuff, is unfortunately can be terrible sometimes for sports. And on top of it, the nostalgia for Rodgers never even happened anywhere close to Pittsburgh. The only history these two teams have as far as Rodgers and the Steelers is that him beating them in the Super Bowl. So
let me ask you a question, though. Do you think he's going to be better or worse than he was last year? As a quarterback, not overall. Will he be a better guy week 1 than he was last year?
I mean, I guess you'd have to say yes because the Achilles, but I
saw
a guy at the end of the season who I don't think wanted to get hit. A guy who, and I get it, by the way, this is not necessarily a criticism, but didn't want to get hit, was not looking downfield. Why do you think Garrett Wilson was almost on the verge of asking for a trade, right? I think that you saw a guy who just didn't look like himself, even if the counting stats and all of that ended up being in line at the end of the season with the Jets last year. And I know I'm the first one to always say you got to blame the Jets. Blame the Jets because their dysfunction and they're running trade ideas past the kids of Woody Johnson and Madden ratings and all of the embarrassing stuff that happens. You're not going to get that with Pittsburgh necessarily, but I don't think that Rodgers is going to be such a ceiling raiser anymore. And I get that defense is really good. They did get run all over by the Ravens. I can't believe that Rodgers is going to be the difference maker now when he turns 42 in December.
Well, I think that it's easy. The Jets thing is funny. You never see the guy killing it after the Jets. Like we never saw Gino. Favre, no one had an idea. That was shocking.
Right.
That was absolutely shocking. Geno Smith. Anyone who said after Geno Smith left New York that guy was going to be a Pro Bowl level quarterback, you would have thought he was crazy.
Well, it took a decade.
Yeah, Sam Darnold.
Backup for a long time.
Nobody saw Sam Darnold throwing 35 touchdowns in a season, winning 14 games. So even mediocre quarterbacks take a huge step up after leaving the Jets. Why would Rodgers take a step up? Now, Rodgers' stats were really good last year, so that's going to be hard to improve on. I just think he's going to have more of a solid base. I think last year he did not trust his leg at all. So if he stays healthy, I think he's going to put up pretty decent counting numbers, not 40 touchdowns like he used to. And then you let Mike Tomlin do the rest. I think Tomlin's a really good coach. And if you get mediocre play or medium play from Rodgers or Mason Rudolph, I think you can win 10 or 11 games. Now, listen, I'm not talking Super Bowl. And even you described old Big Ben, he went 12-4 in the second to last season. Like, you could win a lot of football games that way. And that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about getting the Super Bowl. I think he's going to be a playoff team. He's going to be on a playoff team. And also, too, there is some talent on that team. You can't ignore. Okay. There's some dudes on that team for sure.
And on the defense, no doubt. And then they make the big trade for Metcalf, and they've paid him, and that's a little out of the ordinary for the Steelers. So I'll grant you that, but I don't even know are we 100% sure that Metcalf and Rodgers is even going to be this amazing duo when they're not going to have a lot of time. It's not like, it kind of feels like this is just a season, right? He's going to be 42. You can't commit beyond that.
Well, Arthur Smith will not let DK Metcalf touch the ball. No, Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator, famously never uses his number one wide receiver. So they're going to try and spread it around, run the ball a lot. It's not all going to be on that Rodgers-Metcalf situation. There's going to be a lot of Pat Freiermuth and running game, and they definitely will be a different kind of offense.
We're asking you today, do you think that the Steelers are a playoff team? With Aaron Rodgers now in the mix, he's going to do his press conference tomorrow, 888-710-4ISN. Can we also just talk about, the Steelers have gone to the playoffs with lesser quarterbacks than Aaron Rodgers as far as pedigree is concerned. However, I'm now moving the goalposts. Just getting to the playoffs is also not going to be enough. Like you just said it, Mike Tomlin's a great coach. He's gotten worse quarterbacks to the playoffs, and they have not won a playoff game in 8 seasons. So that's the thing where it's one thing to just say, are they a playoff team with Rodgers? Okay, and then if they get there, can they actually win a playoff game? And what I'm saying here is there's multiple ways that this thing comes out looking like a disappointment, even with lowered expectations.
Well, I think to me, the expectations are so low because what's the other option? Be Mason Rudolph. The basic problem, and you can't ignore this, is Ben Roethlisberger got old and retired. How do you replace a franchise quarterback? You have to draft one high. And you can't, if you have Mike Tomlin as your coach, you're not getting into the top 10 of the draft. I mean, how have the Patriots have not been able to replace Tom Brady? The Chargers were able to replace. Yeah, until now. It takes a little time. So it's going to take time for the Steelers. But the Steelers will not have a bad season. So that's the problem. Like, how do you solve this? I know that you often bring up, the Eagles found Jalen Hurts in the second round. That's a huge anomaly. It's hard to get your quarterback. You have to reach on a Kenny Pickett. Or what are they supposed to do? How do you get this quarterback?
Well,
besides be bad, give me another route.
Well, I know that you think only franchise quarterbacks come in the top 5 picks, but I don't think that's necessarily true. And nobody put a gun to their head and said you have to trade a second round pick for DK Metcalf and give him this money. Now, I'm not saying I don't like the aggressiveness, but I'm just saying there are other ways where you try to package picks, you try to get up for quarterbacks you have a conviction in, and what are you going to do now? So you're going to use that as an excuse for Steeler fans to constantly be in this, purgatory, if you will, because you're going to go from Russell Wilson to Aaron Rodgers to who's next? You're going to probably Matthew Stafford finally out of LA next year? Yeah. Or what's your next? You're just going to keep rolling the dice with these guys?
Kind of like the Colts. Well, what's your plan, though?
I told you what I thought they should have done from Jump Street.
What's that?
I thought they should have rolled with Fields for now.
Oh, I mean, what difference does that make? Where is that going?
Well, I'm just saying you got a younger guy who, is it possible that this was a first-round talent that just needed a little bit of time? I mean, he was 4-2 when they benched him for Russell Wilson. He never got the job back. But
I mean, is that... Do you need to say more? He lost his job to Russell Wilson.
Well, to be fair, Russ went on a bit of a run, and then everything sort of fell apart.
I just think that's another sort of Band-Aid solution to Justin Fields. And again, we can argue this to the cows come home, but you need to be bad. You have a much better shot at getting a franchise quarterback in the top 10 of the draft. And they need to stink, Maggie.
Well,
that's the only way to do this.
Maybe, listen, I'm not rooting for any of that, but it wasn't just coming off the Achilles last year, by the way. Rodgers also had a bunch of other, he was banged up in a couple other ways where he played through some other injuries that they didn't make a big deal about.
To be consistent, you did say, hey, I don't know if you signed TJ Watt to a long-term deal. If you could trade him now, that's the big rebuild move. Will they pay TJ Watt? They made him an offer reportedly. I'll bet you they tried to lowball him. So that, at a certain point, you can get rid of your old guys and start over. Are they willing to do that?
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. John's in Western New York, but a huge Steeler fan. John, are the Steelers a playoff team with Aaron Rodgers?
Well, they will be, but everybody keeps focusing on the quarterback. Here's the situation, and you hit on part of it. Last year in a playoff game, they got run over for 299 yards against the Ravens. What they did was they bypassed the whole quarterback routine, and what did they do? They picked up defensive linemen in the first, and I believe they picked up that black gentleman from Iowa, that 336-pound guy, later on. So they concentrated on what was really weak, because I don't care who you would have brought in as quarterback. If your defense is a sieve, it's not going to work.
Yeah, just to be fair, Yaya Black from Iowa is who you're talking about here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. That's I forgot his first name. But anyways, that's
the Eagles got the white guy from Iowa.
I was gonna say, exciting whites are the other team in Pennsylvania.
What if I would have said White from Green Bay when he was playing? So who,
Yes, Reggie.
So anyways,
right.
So anyways, let me finish my train of thought. The other thing is are the two tackles, which now are, one's coming off an injury that he got in his rookie year, and the other one is they're switching the kid from Georgia from right tackle back to left tackle. That's an important cog too.
Yeah.
And the third thing is, after that, is this the running back that they drafted from Iowa?
Yeah.
Is he going to be as effective as Harris, or better effective than Harris? These are all things that are going to accumulate on how successful Rodgers will be.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in fairness to the whole thing, can Rodgers carry him to a Super Bowl? Absolutely not. But if the other parts fall in place, they have a fighting chance.
Yeah.
And last year, you can say what you want about everything, but playing the two Super Bowl teams and one of the big AFC playoff contenders in 3 games in 11 days, that just knocked the snot out of them.
Yeah, no, John, the schedule was brutal. It really was. Thank you for the call.
Serendipitous.
But the other teams who played that schedule, all playoff teams, all got further than Pittsburgh. So they're tied, as far as Super Bowl odds are concerned. I looked this up last night. 12th, they're tied with the Houston Texans.
The Steelers are?
That's what I saw yesterday.
Oh, that's a move up, because they were 16th when we did this last week. They have names on defense. It's pretty crazy. Look at these names. TJ Watt, obviously. Cam Hayward, everyone knows him. Patrick Queen is a bit of a star. You have Minkah Fitzpatrick still there. Joey Porter Jr. is a star. They got Big Game Slay in there. I actually didn't even know that. They have a lot of veterans. So they're not built like a rebuild team. They're built like an old go-for-it-now team. That call made me a little optimistic. Hey, maybe we got something here. But they're definitely kind of all in defensively.
Yeah, but then don't you worry about how they end the season? Like, you're relying on veterans that much. TJ Watt disappeared at the end of the year because he got hurt. Exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys end up getting hurt. So, I love veteran, laden teams, and I think it's important. But again, you do have a really strong personality with your coach who can set the tone for the team. I think you needed to get a lot younger on defense. And by the way, it's not like Fitzpatrick, Joey Porter. These guys are young. But Cam Hayward?
Yeah, but they, as the caller said, they drafted Derek Harmon, Jack Sawyer,
That's
Yaya
true.
Black. Like they ignored Shedeur Sanders and said, we are going to fix the middle of this defense. And they went all in, which I kind of respect. They basically were so embarrassed by that Ravens game. They said never again.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. EJ, want to throw that poll up? Are the Steelers a playoff team? What do you think?
I bet you that's close to 50-50.
I think it's going to be close too.
Yeah, it's a great question. But I think you kind of said it, is that even if they are, like, what are we doing here?
I think that's what Steeler fans would say. Like, is this the bar? We're just making the playoffs now and then going on the road and being a 7-point underdog and getting beat. 888-710-4ISN. But John makes some good points about, rookies, the offensive line.
Can I say one random thing?
Yeah.
Did you guys follow Dove Kleiman on social media?
Yes, he's like an aggregator.
He's like the main NFL aggregator. For some reason, whoever runs that account now has decided that Will Howard is the next superstar in the NFL. And all I get, Will Howard, who they took in the 6th round, of course, national champion out of Ohio State, is these pictures of Will Howard looking all big in camp. Is there any chance that they found the next Big Ben in Will Howard? Because he's massive, dude. I forgot. But it's kind of funny that he kind of came and went in the 6th round. I just think that's an interesting thing. Any Will Howard out there? I see we have an intern there. Does he have any thoughts on Will Howard's NFL future?
Yeah.
You got to shrug.
Yeah. Shrug.
The intern's not ready for that at 7:15 a.m.
Shit, is a show? Should we adopt Will Howard?
I don't know. I feel like you were kind of crushing Will Howard last year because his mom had to show up at the Ohio State campus to console him after that Oregon loss.
Yeah, are you going to end up going to his, flat or something to go console him after he throws 2 interceptions?
It's flat. What are we, living in London? International Manny. Are we adopting Will Howard as a show? No, we should adopt Shedeur Sanders as a show if we're going to adopt any late round rookie quarterback.
Wait. No. We're never adopting a Cleveland Browns quarterback because Shedeur on his next team I'll adopt. I'm not getting into that circus right now. Forget
let's
it.
not forget Shiloh.
That's the problem. I'm not taking Shiloh with Shedeur.
No, Shiloh's in Tampa.
What about Deion Jr.? Deion Jr.
The
I will
videographer?
take. He's amazing.
He could have helped this show. Imagine him and Cap working together. That'd be like the dream team. That'd be like Wade and LeBron.
Deion Jr. might be the biggest star out of this group. I mean, the footage he gets during the draft night, amazing.
Yeah,
I'm going to hug him.
He really is the hero of this whole thing. He's better at what he does than anyone else is at what they do outside of Deion's playing career.
I think we should adopt Tyler Shuck. Because Tyler Shuck,
might play.
Because Tyler Shuck's it's like when people don't want to adopt older dogs and they need to be adopted. People out there adopt older dogs. That's actually a real PSA. Everyone is like, oh, Tyler Shuck, he's so old, he can't be good. We should adopt Tyler Shuck.
You just compared a 27-year-old rookie quarterback to a 10-year-old dog.
We're talking about adopting.
I kind of want
the dog's married like Shuck.
I tell you,
got a couple kids on the way.
If it was an adoption agency for quarterbacks, I would argue for Dylan Gabriel. He's so cute. If you see him, you're telling me you're not going to be into this little lefty guy from Hawaii? And also everyone's killing him because everyone loves Shedeur. What's that?
I know, but
you just described Tua.
He was a thoroughbred, though. He was, he's a first-round pick. They were tanking for him. He's a show dog.
Well, Gabriel and I think he had the same quarterback coach growing up. They definitely went the same trajectory. Dylan Gabriel gets all this hate because people want to see Shedeur. It's not his fault he got drafted in the 3rd round. They took Shedeur.
No,
so I think we need to adopt Dylan Gabriel. I'll make that argument.
And let's not forget Shiloh.
Can you compare quarterbacks to dogs at the shelter? We just did.
I think we just did that.
Just happened.
EJ made Tyler Shuck sound like a 3-legged dog in New Orleans. And that's your start.
Have you heard Saints fans talk about him? That's kind of how they talk about him.
He's in line for the best potential story of the year, but I think the Saints are definitely going to be tanking for Arch.
Tyler Shuck's
praying he comes out of Texas.
He's deep in line for potential best story.
What about Riley Leonard?
Yeah, what about Riley Leonard? Let's talk about Riley Leonard.
Well, isn't he with your Eagles?
I have no idea. I thought he was with the Colts. Is he an Eagle?
Oh, no, you're right. He's a Colt. I'm sorry.
Eagles took Kyle McCord.
That's who it was.
And
from Syracuse.
That's when
yes.
Somebody got upset. It was Quincy. Got upset about them saying they took him because he has a high recruiting rating.
Yeah, out of high school.
No, Riley Leonard with the Indianapolis Colts. You guys saw the injury to Anthony Richardson. Yeah. And Daniel Jones is a walking hamstring injury. Knock on wood for him. I hope it doesn't happen. But
Riley Leonard's going to win a game for them this year.
I think so, too. Yeah. He could end up being the story. We're going to do our Spoiler alerts.
So wait, now we're on to Riley Leonard as the team?
We're talking about who we're adopting late
Yeah,
round
no, but I think we
quarterbacks.
need to get a consensus. One rookie backup we have to pick. And Shador's too obvious.
I know, but he's an underdog now.
But I feel like he's gotten so high profile in Browns camp that he's no longer a traditional underdog.
We do have a Shador update for you, by the way. This is funny. I want to see how this goes over with the group. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Okay, are the Steelers a playoff team with Aaron Rodgers? Yes, no?
No.
Maggie Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Remember Bobo Brazil, I grew out of wrestling. I was 12 or 13, I stopped watching TV. I moved out of the house, we sold the TV. I think I went to school and watched less wrestling. Bob Custer in Nevada. 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 Do you remember him, or are you too young? I don't know where he is, but I don't care. He had curly hair, he always wore a tie. He always wore a tie, I don't know why. Bob Custer in Nevada. Bob Custer in Nevada. Bob Custer in Nevada. Bob Custer in Nevada. Do you remember him? Or remember Bobo Brazil, I grew out of wrestling. I was 12 or 13, I stopped watching TV. I moved out of the house, we sold the TV. I think I went to school and watched less wrestling. Bob Custer in Nevada. 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 Do you remember him, or are you too young? I don't know where he is, but I don't care. He had curly hair, he always wore a tie. He always wore a tie, I don't know why. Bob Custer in Nevada. Bob Custer in Nevada. Bob Custer in Nevada. Bob Custer in Nevada. Do you remember him? Or
30 seconds remaining.
Down in Music City, there's a man named Jay. He's tuned in to Maggie and Perloff every single day. Life's been
1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right. Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. We're trying to figure out which young quarterback, backup quarterback, rookie backup quarterback we should adopt as a show and just all. I think we should all join forces. Instead of, oftentimes we pick our own guys, we should find a guy. I mean, Jalen Milroe feels like a great guy, awesome person. But you mentioned Riley Leonard could be our guy. Will Howard could be our guy. So we have some important choices here. Will Howard would be fun because Rodgers is, come on, he's 41 and he's got 2 injured legs. He could get some time.
Do you ever feel like sometimes your life is just one big setup? Because I'm starting to feel that way right now with Perloff. Like, we've been doing the show for 4 years now. We know he's a noted backup quarterback aficionado and really always throws his weight behind backup QBs, written a couple books with a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like everything's been trending. Like you slow played this con just to get the show to a point where we're all supporting backup quarterbacks now. We love starters around here.
Well, you only got 1 this year though. Oh, you got 2 with Tyler Shuck. Well, Tyler Shuck should not be a starter. It's a 2nd round pick, but I don't know. You really like Cam Ward's going to be awesome, but you can't adopt a starter because a starter is a thoroughbred. Like, they were bought by some rich family in the suburbs. We have to go to the Will Howards and the Riley Leonards of the world who are just in the shelter, right?
Yeah, I love how Will Howard and Riley Leonard were really slumming it at Ohio State and Notre Dame.
Can I give you Graham Mertz?
This is Perloff's grand plan to just make this show all about backup quarterbacks, and I'm not here for it.
You have this fantasy that Tom Brady's running the Raiders. He likes Cam Miller out of North Dakota State. You could have him.
What am I doing with that information?
I want Dylan Gabriel. He is the quarterback of the Maggie. In my opinion, he should be the quarterback of the Maggie and Perloff show because everyone else has got Shador. We will hit them with the left-handed quarterback.
Let's go to Tom, is in California. We're asking whether the Steelers are a playoff team with Aaron Rodgers. Tom, what do you think?
I think it's going to be the same old. They're going to get to the playoffs and then lose that game.
Yeah,
it's not going to be that much of a change. I mean, the Steelers are the old Steelers of yesterday are gone. I mean, it's Mike Tomlin he's really changed that team and not for the better.
Tom, I think that, and I appreciate the point. We've said this a couple of times, and I'll stand by it. There are some teams where there's like a lore and, the history and all of that, and you end up dining out on that for a little bit too long. And I think the Steelers now are just like everyone else. They're a little more now. To be fair, they keep making the playoffs, and they do have a great defense. But aren't they just a little bit more like everyone else? They're kind of floundering after Big Ben. They haven't fixed the quarterback situation. I don't consider Aaron Rodgers a fix for that. And, they just are going through those trials and tribulations of how do you replace a legend. They're just like everyone else.
Yeah, except in some ways they're worse than everyone else because they won't get really bad. And in some ways they're better than everyone else because they could still beat the Ravens 19-13 on a given Sunday. There's a toughness about them with Tomlin. I understand what you say, but it has a limit. It's conservative football. You can win it's like Tom Thibodeau used to be accused of, like winning a lot of regular season games, but not being able to do anything in the playoffs. Their style play, they pick off a bunch of close games, right? Isn't that how they win? And that does not work in the postseason. I mean, that being said, the guy's never had a losing season.
No,
There's something there. I feel like the criticism of Mike Tomlin gets a little too strong in Pittsburgh sometimes.
Well, because the bar's so high, and just making the playoffs and not winning a game in the playoffs, I think wears on fans after a while. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. I mentioned Shador. Did you guys happen to see, looks like someone's getting a little more comfortable at Browns camp. I was reading this in The Athletic, so thank you for this, that Shedeur, in a late practice 7-on-7, threw a dart for a touchdown back of the end zone, celebrated with the wrist up.
Do you believe that?
So here we are.
As I said,
Marking the first
my
time they've
comments-
seen that on the Browns practice field.
You are the reason that Shedeur Sanders got drafted in the 5th round, the draft pick.
Me?
Yes.
I'm reading you a report. I'm not in Cleveland right now.
31 other teams said, thank God nobody is talking about my 4th-string quarterback in a 7-on-7 drill. Thank God I did not bring that to my camp. Nobody wants this much attention for a backup quarterback.
May I continue? It was just one throw in one moment among hours of work, but maybe it's a sign that he's starting to settle in. This is according to Zach Jackson, who
So they
covers the
took
team.
one play and they're running with it, and now he's going to be the starting quarterback in Cleveland?
Would you like me to continue? If Sanders performs well on the field and inside the facility, he'll get chances to play with older players, at least some starters this summer. So there you go.
I can't wait for Shedeur Sanders to be throwing passes to Joe Flacco. It's going to be incredible.
Wait, Sanders to Flacco?
Oh yeah, they're gonna
Like a
What's it,
Philly
a
special kind of thing?
Exactly. It's gonna be a wildcat formation.
Whoa, look at Manny playing Madden over there.
As I said, just the amount of hype this guy has gotten is exactly why I fell. And I think it's his last name. I don't think it's him personally, but nobody in the NFL wants this.
Can I just give you a flip side of this? What I really thought when I read this. So Shedeur does a good pass and throws up the watch celebration, right? Caitlin Clark was doing that the other day on the sideline for an Indiana Fever game, okay? I think that you try to be yourself. We talk about authenticity and all that stuff. You try to be yourself. You try to have a little bit of swagger, not in a bad way, in a good way. I think other guys on the team start to see that, and I think they might like it. I think this could end up being a positive for him. I'm not saying he's a vibes hire. I'm just saying you want the full Shedeur. So he does something good. He throws up the wrist celebration. That could be something that the locker room actually likes. Is no one with me on this? He's acting like how he did in college, which, by the way, we thought he was going to be a 1st round or 2nd round pick off of that.
Well, I don't know. There's actually a practice squad long snapper who's got a great personality for the Eagles. Like, he's a 4th-string quarterback in a 7-on-7 drill, and you're talking about his celebration. Doesn't that strike you as odd?
I'm not. The Athletic is, and I brought it to you.
Because you were going to read it. That's why they wrote it.
The Athletic likes clicks. So, of course, they're going to do this. Like, it's a media story, not an NFL story.
I'm just saying, I think there's a world where he could win the locker room over. Now, that was a criticism of him. Some of the criticism of the pre-draft was, is he a good teammate? Is it more like he's isolated from the team? You got a couple different versions of that. We'll never know which one is closer to the truth unless you want to pull every dude in the locker room, and even that might be split. But I don't know if he just, I think people want to follow quarterbacks, right? We talk about them being leaders. And if he can perform on the field, and if he has a little bit of a personality and some swagger off of it or on it or some confidence, I don't think that's a bad thing.
Nobody can, again, just that you're raising the question is, to me, kind of strange. Because Shedeur's personality is fine. He won a ton of games at Colorado, for God's sake. That's not really what's going on here. I just think that I really think this is a media story now. Like, we are overhyping a kid who is on the 4th string of a 3-win team. We're overhyping him. And we're not going to give him a chance. He's going to get out there and throw one incompletion, and everyone, because when we build a guy up, we're just doing it to tear him down. I just think this is like, just everybody needs to back off Shedeur and just let him be in camp, which is not inconsistent with what you're saying. Let him be Shedeur, but the fact that we're keeping his practice stats breathlessly, like 9 for 13 with 3 touchdowns and 1 interception, like, I don't want to hear his practice stats. I think it all has to stop. I think we're just going way, way overboard on the Shedeur Sanders coverage.
All right, let me get you some Jackson Dart OTA numbers 1 second over here.
You don't want to do that.
They're doing it in New York, too.
But at least Jackson Dart isn't theoretically on the path legitimately to being the Giants' starting quarterback.
But he's the 1st-round pick, though.
It's different.
It's different. That one makes sense. Like, if he sucks, we should know. You're presenting the Shedeur thing as if then the follow-up thought is he can win the locker room. He can become the backup. He can become the starter. And that's the problem that Perloff has.
Can I also just bring another thing from the Browns? So the Browns, who had this really fun run 2 years ago with Joe Flacco at the end of the season, right? did not bring Flacco back.
Joe Flacco?
Because they licked their finger and put their finger up to the wind and said, we can't actually bring him back because this is going to be bad for our starter.
Woof, woof.
Right? For Deshaun Watson. They didn't want him in the building. So they brought in Jameis Winston instead, right? So they brought in a vibes guy to be the backup. To think their antenna is not up on this kind of stuff. Maybe not a watch celebration, guys. I get that this is very small. I'm not trying to but they're thinking about the combination and the personalities. And personalities and things like that clearly matter to some degree with this franchise. Maybe not with the Steelers or the Ravens or, the Chargers. But for the Browns, all this stuff seems to matter. It goes into the sauce. You know what I'm saying?
But Jameis was more than just a vibes guy. Jameis is the most, accomplished backup in the league, even more than Flacco. Oh, I'm not more than Flacco.
A platypus.
Jameis had 5,000-yard passing season. He was also a high-end backup who they knew Deshaun was injury-prone. Like, it wasn't just in there for the vibes. Like, they had to bring in somebody, right? So they brought in
did
Jameis.
Bring back Flacco.
Right, because he was too much pressure on him. But they didn't have, like, Joey Nobody there. I think there were other reasons besides vibes that they brought in Jameis Winston. Right?
My middle name
You're right.
is
Like, he was a better
Bernard.
personality fit. He wasn't a threat directly. He didn't just have this crazy successful season. But, again, you're saying the Browns are aware of vibes. They were a terrible team last year. And now their fourth-string quarterback does a watch celebration, and that means something to you? They have so far to go where we should even be paying attention to their vibes.
And by the way,
Leonard.
they brought this on themselves because they could have just drafted Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round, called it a day, picked somebody else in the 5th round, and we wouldn't be talking about it. But because it's the Browns, I think it matters because they make weird decisions that are hard to justify beyond the Shador thing. And I think the door is always cracked open. You're just never really sure what they're going to do.
And I think with Shador also we have to have a realistic conversation too. That even if he was in a 1st-round pick, even the people in the NFL will tell you that maybe we didn't think he was a 1st-round pick, but he was a day 2, day 3, 2nd, 3rd round guy potentially. That guy in theory could be competing for a starting job, like we're seeing with Tyler Shuck.
Right.
So yes, the depth chart and his slot suggests we shouldn't pay attention to him. But considering what he did in college, considering what his talent is, and what in the NFL evaluators, can't say that word, will say what his talent is, I think that changes the landscape in terms of how we follow him.
And why did he fall, EJ?
It was because of off-the-field stuff. It wasn't because of
It's because he's Tim Tebow. Like, everybody's going to storm to his locker after practice. Nobody wants that as a 2nd-round pick. That's what I think.
No, that's fair, but at
and
the same
Maggie's
time,
adding to it by lauding him for this watch celebration, saying he's won the locker room. Yeah, I mean,
he might win it.
Do you think the Seahawks or some random team wants national media focusing on a 7-on-7 practice? Not at all.
Seattle.
I mean, I don't know. Keeping an eye on it. 888-710 for ISN. Quickly, can I go to Jay here, Bogusch? Will you mind hanging for a second? Jay, you want to talk about, Jay's in Nashville, by the way, about Aaron Rodgers signing with the Steelers. You think the timing is good or bad, Jay?
No, the timing is good because we all know all of these older players in the NFL, they don't want to go to OTAs, especially if they seasons as Aaron Rodgers is, man. But I hear y'all talking about Shador and all of that, and basically all your points are right. I mean, we should be talking about him. Yeah, we are overhyping him. You know what I mean? It is kind of, and Perloff hit it on the nose because I remember when Tim Tebow came out, everybody was like, well, he's a good Christian guy. What more do you want? It's like, no, it's going to be a frenzy every time in the locker room at this dude's locker. It's like nobody wants that kind of wedge in everybody's energy in that locker room and everything. He's not a bad person.
Right.
It's just it's kind of like a mosquito buzzing around your ear all the time. It gets on your nerves after a while. But I did wake up this morning. They were talking about Jackson Dart is doing horrible in OTAs, but it is OTA. So I don't know, but
yeah,
that's the internet, and the internet has a lot to do with it. It's not just y'all, so-called talking heads. I don't look at y'all as talking heads. You're not shock jocks. You guys kick facts, but. It is. I mean, it's a little bit of everything, but everybody's right on over there. And I hear EJ talking like rah, 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 rah. As funny as I don't know what.
Jay, with a Monday morning call from Jay, we always appreciate him checking in.
Yeah, I agree with Jay. By the way, these are definitely worthy topics. I think it's a great question. Is Shador getting too much hype? it's also he's got Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and Dylan Gabriel ahead of him. He could start. The guys ahead of him, it's the worst quarterback room in the history of the NFL. Joe Flacco and Pickett. So I think it's all in the mix. And I think, listen, I say we're overhyping him, and it's kind of all I want to talk about, too, at the same time.
Well, how about our very own Andrew Kaplan, who's in our chat right now, youtube.com/Infinity Sportsnet, twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network, and should be back up on Twitter this week, which we're excited about. We got some new equipment around here, which is cool. Shedeur is the best backup quarterback in the league, and Shedeur is better than Jackson Dart, according to Cap. Cap coming out strong. I saw the stuff about Jackson Dart, and I saw, I think it was either Quincy or someone else admonishing, like, this is, OTAs are meant to make mistakes, right? This is where you do that kind of thing. So I'm not so worried about Dart yet. And by the way, you guys remember my spoiler alert from Thursday, which is Dart will be starting, what I say, week 4 on the road against the Saints.
Yeah, we mentioned that Friday when he came out 0 for 3 with 2 interceptions the next day.
I'm glad you mentioned it, yeah. Who's now keeping the OTA stats? Only when they prove me wrong.
That was an incredible timing.
I thought about it. I was like, man, they're going to roast me on something on Friday when I wasn't here. I'm like,
oh, we killed you on everything. What was the other thing?
Start to finish.
Talked about her enormous feet as well.
Yeah,
as
I told
baby
you,
picture came up again.
It was a all in on Maggie's baby picture.
I know. I'm never going to live this down. It's not even me. It's AI.
Also, the Caillou picture came up again too.
Yeah, and the drunk caricaturist.
The caricature and the picture in the book.
The picture that you thought was
the
very flattering.
cartoonish, yeah, where I look like a meatball.
Yeah. There's no
right.
medium that's currently flattering to you.
No.
Except human, like
right, yeah, eyes.
You look great in person.
Yeah.
The eyes, what do you call that medium?
Natural? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's called vision.
Yeah, old school.
Yeah, no, me in cartoon form is a real tragedy.
You throw
That's
a pencil
so
in the
weird.
mix, look out.
It's so weird that you don't translate into cartoon form.
Which is funny that Perloff does. That's what makes this whole thing so stark. Is you AI is like,
I mean, listen.
you in the toga for our Mount Olympus, which is at the top of the hour. Mount Olympus, the 4 sports gods from every great city in this country.
I only need that one god.
Tackling Los Angeles. Perloff looks better than me in a toga. Like every part of this AI situation, I'm coming out on the major loser's end.
Again, this is the drought that needs to be busted, is you losing all...
I felt like
all fabrications.
He
bit
looks
of
like
an
Brad
insult
Pitt in a
embedded in there.
toga.
She goes, he looks better than me in a toga. What, you think you are like some toga guy?
No, I'm not.
What's wrong with me in a toga? I could sport a toga.
Have you seen yourself in this toga? You look like a movie star.
And?
He is a movie star, Maggie.
Technically, you are more of a movie star than anyone else on the set. That's for sure.
Big Sandler guy. Huge Sandler guy.
Oh,
guy.
by the way, I said that we have a Sandler update I saw over the weekend, which was pretty cool. 888-710-4ISN. Bogues, will you hang?
Here we go again.
Also a slump busted over the weekend.
Yours?
No.
I thought play-by-play of that. Goal!
Who's the man that shouts that?
A la profunda!
No, I meant... by the way, you do that during coitus, you're never seeing that woman again.
Depends on the chick.
Unless she's got a tremendous sense of humor.
Unless she's a huge baseball fan. Dominican or Puerto Rican chick.
A la profunda! No.
Here's a bad one. If you can hold the note longer than the...
Whoa.
By the way, if you were dating one of those announcers and didn't get that, I think you'd be insulted. You'd be like, what the hell? A goal is worth all that excitement, but I'm not?
What do you get, a tip of the cap?
Yeah. Like I would be interested in that guy just to hear that call in bed. Would you, Maggie?
So you can report back to all your girlfriends?
So you
Did he do the goal thing?
You think Mike Breen
if Mike Green doesn't give you a bag, I don't know if he's married.
He definitely is happily married.
Oh, okay. Well, how do you think he got his wife?
I was going to say something there, but I don't know.
He's too nice to say these things about.
He's too good, and I've never met his wife, but I'm sure she's lovely.
Can you imagine Gus Johnson talking dirty? Oh, my God. That'd be...
Captain Jack!
Put your leg... Sorry.
Van Fleet just lost the ball. Walker ahead. Smith Jr. lobbing! Finney Smith, the finish.
The play-by-play of your own intimacy? Oh, boy. That'd be tough.
finds Bridges quarter three. And it's good.
The only way you get
Knicks
better,
game?
the only way you get better at this is reps.
I feel like we're in the danger. We're in the danger zone right
We
now.
are in the danger zone. I'm going to take a break.
Yeah, let's go back to adopting quarterbacks.
Could have just gone to my update.
10-year-old dog.
All right. We've got headlines coming up. It was a big weekend. We also, top of the hour, the Mount Olympus. I didn't hear that, and I'm just going to keep going. The Mount Olympus, the 4 sports gods from the City of Angels. Do that at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Don't move.
Deeper.
You're in a 5-minute break.
And he's starting to steam. Maggie and Perloff said, Dave's songs are a meme. All sound.
Bogusch had a plan on a sunny afternoon. Grabbed a bat and took the field under the summer moon. He said, Jack, let's show 'em how the Bogusch boys can play. But little did they know he had whiskey in his sway.
Oh, Andrew Bogusch swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat.
Jack's team was laughing as Dad took his stance, wobbling at the plate in a tipsy baseball dance. The coach was shaking his head, moms were all aghast, but Andrew Bogusch grinned, living in the past.
Oh, Andrew Bogusch swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat. He hit a grounder to the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst. Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead. Oh, Andrew Bogusch swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat. Hit a grounder to the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst. Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead.
To the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst.
Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead. Oh, Andrew Bogusch swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat. So if you see a little league and laughter fills the air, look for Andrew Bogusch, you might find him there. With a grin and a wink, he'll raise a drink on high, playing ball with Jack's team under the summer sky.
30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Angel Perloff, in this late 90s, early 2000s hip-hop from Manny. Bogusch has headlines for us. A couple things on the table for you. Are the Steelers a playoff team with Aaron Rodgers? Yes, no. And a lot of things from the last segment that I really probably shouldn't get back into. You can always hit the rewind function on the Odyssey app. Producers are shaking their heads at me. Don't get into, does the soccer goal guy say that when he climaxes? No. Bogusch to you.
All I'm going to say is we did a prim and proper show on Friday.
Yeah,
And
right.
you walk back in here and the smut level goes through the roof.
They say that about me. What's going on?
I'm uncomfortable with the verb Maggie just used.
Yeah.
And it was
Sorry.
Was it?
It was.
You dumped it?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Welcome back, Maggie.
I haven't even been doing the show for 2 hours.
Her
I think the
barely
over-under
covered
was like an
upper
hour and a
chest
half, so you
area.
This is why you have producers on the show, because I don't know where the line is. Bogues, what's going on in the world?
The Game 1 winner distracted us from a quiet overall Game 1 from Tyrese Halliburton. Then he only scored 5 points through 3 quarters last night as the Thunder raised to a 123-107 win, tying the NBA Finals at a game apiece. Halliburton knows he has not been good enough.
I think I've had 2 really poor first halves. So, I just got to figure out how to be better earlier in games. But kudos to them. They're a great defensive team. But, watch the film, see where I can get better.
Pascal.
Interesting.
Yeah. They did beat the Knicks. Pascal Siakam also struggled last night. Just 15 points, 3 of 11 shooting. Halliburton with split emotions on the split in OKC.
You got the split. You feel good about that. But we definitely wanted to play better tonight. I think our processes need to be a lot better for us to be successful here.
Game
Disappointing.
3.
What's going on?
Disappointing.
Where's the double voice? Why are you even
It's
playing?
over.
Why are you playing clips from Halliburton without a double voice?
Because they lost. I feel like it only comes out after wins.
We got one last Friday when you were out.
A lot of them
We
Friday.
got a lot of them on Friday.
Well, I mean, he'd just come off hitting a game winner if he's ever going to have the double voice, which if you're unsure what we're talking about, Halliburton has a way of talking and then without even clearing his throat, all of a sudden changes to a completely different octave.
Two-tone style.
So you're saying a win gives him the confidence to just go with the double voice?
I think he's not thinking about it. He's less self-conscious because he's like, I'm the man. I just hit the game
That makes
winner.
sense.
Which voice is better for naughty times? To go back to the previous.
Yeah.
I'm
Which
sorry.
Halliburton voice you want in
Well, I
that?
got to tell you,
I only want to do this with soccer play-by-play guys.
his girlfriend is all over my social media feed for some reason. She was pictured wearing a Halliburton jersey and nothing else the other day.
That is not his girlfriend.
Oh.
Wait, what?
That's not his girlfriend?
No.
The blonde chick?
No, the version you're talking about is not blonde, I'm assuming.
No.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Oh, I made a connection that was his girlfriend. My bad. Sorry.
That is a
Wait, who is this?
that is a
woman?
very
There's
famous
a picture.
It's a very famous adult actress.
Oh my God.
Is this like when
That was
Gronk
a classic internet Perloff mistake.
Wait, is this like when Gronkowski took the photo with the porn star in his jersey?
Halliburton wasn't there. It was a woman with a Halliburton jersey and nothing else. And I don't know why I assumed that was his girlfriend. Anyway, moving on.
Well, actually, now that it's not, if I'm Shai, I know he's like married and everything, but wouldn't you be like, wait, I'm the MVP. If adult actresses are going to be posing in anyone's jersey, shouldn't it be mine?
Is
there a pecking order on this thing?
That's a hot take.
I don't know. Or are you going to wear a Lou Dort jersey? I have no idea. I don't know.
The Dorture
I'm not
Chamber
sure
sounds
exactly.
like the name of an adult film.
I'm not
Gone
exactly
wrong.
sure how the thought process goes.
I think it's probably because Shay's married and Halliburton's is he single?
No, he's got a girlfriend.
Oh, he's got a girlfriend.
The viral tweet that I saw said, "This is why Tyrese Halliburton tries so hard on the basketball court." So I assumed that was accurate information.
Because a lot of people online have seen this woman's work and they were like, that'd get you excited.
Got it.
Here's the thing: is like we've had to win in so many different ways all year. We've had so many weird wins during the regular season, during the playoffs. So why would that change? Because we're here in the finals. It's not changing. So we just keep staying at it. And
that is creepy. Well, listen, they say that the Pacers don't have any celebrity fans. So, haha.
John Mellencamp.
John Mellencamp and this lady whose name I don't know. EJ, you want to enlighten us? What's her name?
Deanna Trump.
Oh,
Googling.
Oh, Manny's in.
Oh, Manny. Good morning.
Back to Manny's
conversation. Yeah, no, I'm familiar with her work. I've heard of her. Hey.
Hold on, I got to get the image search up.
Let a naysayer.
No, don't do that image search, Maggie. Don't do that image search.
Don't look that. Is that a work computer?
We're in enough trouble. We're in enough trouble already.
It's for show research, guys.
Oh, you can say that.
Some of these are blurred out.
Yeah, there's a reason.
Okay. Well, there's one where she's just sort of doing yoga or something.
Very familiar with her work.
That's not yoga, Maggie.
To be fair, I've never seen that pose before.
I think I saw her in a construction video once.
All right, well, the Mount Olympus.
I think I had a drive-through as well. Multi-talented woman.
Mount Olympus,
What's
Maggie
next,
Perloff,
Maggie?
the 4 sports gods from LA, as Perloff has literally left the studio. Hang tight.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining.
Stumbling on his feet, drunk on the Andrew Perloff's got a tale to tell. Thinks he's an Aussie, but you can never tell. Tries to talk like he's from down under, but his accent's thunder. Oh, what a wonder. Andrew makes you belong at the outback, not living in the bush, but serving up a snack. Your G-Day sounds more like G9 at the Outback Steakhouse. You'd be just right. Crikey says, but it sounds all wrong. Mixes kangaroos with a New York song. Crocodile Dundee would have a laugh if he heard our Andrew with his strange mishmash. Andrew makes you belong at the Outback, not living in the bush, but serving up a snack. Your G-Day sounds more like G9 at the Outback Steakhouse. You'd be just right. Foster's in his hand, trying to fit in, but his mates back home just chuckle and grin. He should be slinging steaks, not slinging slang. In the kitchen's where he can really hang. Andrew makes you belong at the Outback, not living in the bush, but serving up a snack. Your G-Day sounds more like G9 at the Outback Steakhouse. You'd be just right. So here's to Perloff, I wanna be Aussie. Andrew makes you belong at the Outback, not living in the bush, but serving up a snack. Your G-Day sounds more like G9 at the Outback Steakhouse. You'd be just right. So here's to Perloff, I wanna be Aussie. So here's to Perloff, I wanna be Aussie.
We're here to play Remember When.
Andrew Perloff's got a tale to tell. Thinks he's an Aussie, but you can never tell. Tries to talk like he's from down under, but his accent's thunder. Oh, what a wonder. Andrew makes you belong at the Lower Marion High, where the
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Shai sheds Nembhard. Dances and spins up and in. A right-hand reverse. Timeout, Indiana. 52-29 Thunder. The thunderstorm is in full bloom now, baby. And I hear some hail. 4:47 left in the second. Pacers running for cover. Thunder by 23 in game 2.
Matt Pindo on the Thunder Radio Network. Welcome to the show. Final score 123-107. Thunder dominant. Evening the series at 1 game apiece. Perloff, you think this is starting to look more like the varsity versus the JV when it comes to Thunder versus the Pacers?
Well, I think you're putting words a little bit into my mouth. I call the West the varsity compared to the JV. Now, the Pacers are a great matchup for the Thunder, who could make this a longer series, but I'm going to borrow this from Worldwide Wob. You get a little bit of a Lakers, Sixers, 2001 final. Friday was the 24th year anniversary of Allen Iverson stepping over Ty Lue. Now, as you recall, my Sixers won game 1 of that series in overtime, then lost the next 4. So I do worry that game 1 was an anomaly because I want a long series. I want to see Halliburton play well, but there are matchups that are problematic for the Pacers. They do not know how to slow down SGA. And then last night you saw his teammates catch up, his Thunder teammates catch up and hurt them too.
Yeah, I get that. And I know the Thunder are this amazing defensive team as well. They really put the stranglehold on the Pacers. But no, I'm not getting that sense that this is back to 2001.
I think it was 01, Iverson versus the Lakers.
I'm not getting that because that 76ers team was Allen Iverson and good luck to anyone outside of Philadelphia remembering the rest of that starting 5. This Pacer team is built completely different than that because because Halliburton is actually a pass-first point guard. He actually needs to start looking more for his shot much earlier in the game. First 3 quarters last night, he's 2 for 7. I mean, he was doing nothing. Finally started to hunt his shot a little bit more in the fourth quarter to try another comeback, but it was not to be. I think that Iverson, we knew, was going to be the guy who needed to score 30.
Right.
And this Pacer team is completely different than that one to me. So, no, I don't think so. And by the way, the Pacers haven't played well yet. They stole game 1 at the very, very end of the game, even though they had 25 turnovers. And obviously last night they were not good. Did they have another gear? Now they're going home. They did what they had to do, which was just win a game.
You're right. No, you're absolutely right with all that. But I think this Pacers team is not that different. It's kind of a star point guard and a star center. So the Sixers had Dikembe and Allen Iverson. Then this is where we view the Pacers. A lot of good, not great players. Now, obviously, Pascal Siakam's won a title, but it's not like he's considered a top 10 player in anybody's book. I think these are sort of role players around Halliburton. And they've elevated, and credit the coach, Rick Carlisle, high-end role players, but a version of role players. Guys, a lot of their contributing players have been in the G League at some point.
Sure.
I just think that I just don't see this as enough talent to overcome the Thunder's strangling style. Also, my guy Obi Toppin, what are you doing?
Well, 5 threes in game 1. I don't think we were ever seeing that again.
And then he was 1 for 8 last night. Some 2 bad turnovers. I just think that it is possible that the Thunder figured something out and take a stranglehold of this.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. So we've got some NBA finals for you. And, of course, the Mount Olympus of Maggie and Perloff.
It's time to feast your ears on Maggie and Perloff's Mount Olympus.
Super excited for today as we go through the 4 sports gods of every great sports city in this country and parts of Canada. Not to get into old business, we'll do that later. I cannot believe I lost the Philadelphia poll to Perloff.
I don't know what you're talking about here. You keep saying that. Like, where did you think you had the advantage? Because of AI?
The fact that I put an Eagle on there and you didn't have any Philadelphia Eagles, but that was Friday. We turn the page now to Monday, and today we go to the City of Angels. And obviously, we're seeing all the crazy things happening in LA. We're thinking about everyone there and hoping everybody stays safe. And while maybe we distract you a little bit by talking about sports gods here, so. Pearl, you want to do the honors? Who are the 4 sports gods from the city of Los Angeles?
Okay. To me, this was pretty easy, except for the 4th one. Okay. Number 1, the first name that jumped to my mind was Magic Johnson, not just for everything he did for the Lakers, but personality. Is there a better Los Angeles athlete than Magic Johnson? Still obviously has a tremendous influence there in the community, owns part of the Dodgers. Basketball-wise, I actually think Magic Johnson is underrated. because he obviously doesn't have the gaudy points. 5-time champion, 3-time NBA Finals MVP. How crazy is that? Dominant. The thing that he did not need to score to dominate a game. I don't think there's any NBA player you can say that more about than Magic Johnson. So that's an easy one. Number 2, Kobe Bryant. I think the murals speak for themselves. Also 5 titles, I believe.
Yep.
Incredible impact on the city. The city, I think, more so than his hometown of Philadelphia, really embraced Kobe Bryant. He chose that city. He said, don't draft me if you're not LA. And they obviously loved him back. You see, since his tragic death, the sort of worship for Kobe Bryant. And we're talking about sports gods at Mount Olympus. He's a sports god. Easy choice. Now, okay, here's one who I think some people might leave off, but they shouldn't. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He was in LA for much longer than Milwaukee. And I think he's another underrated player. He has a great argument to be right there with LeBron James as the second best player of all time, in my opinion. I have Jordan 1 in that particular debate. But what Kareem did over the years, 6-time champion, 1 with Milwaukee, 2 times NBA Finals MVP, 6-time NBA MVP. Kareem also embraced LA and just part of the culture there. So my 4th one, this got tricky. I didn't want to go for Lakers. I didn't want to put Jerry West on there. I wanted a Dodger, and I debated all day long. I had to go with Sandy Koufax because at Sandy Koufax's peak, his peak, which was not long, he retired early, was as dominant as any pitcher we've ever seen. Here's one stat just to give you. In 8 World Series appearances, he was 4-3. Not great. He had a .95 ERA with 61 strikeouts in 57 innings. He had some of the great postseasons of all time, was incredible in his short career, was dominant, and as I've been reading a little bit, helped establish baseball in LA after a move from Brooklyn, was the first biggest star. So there were a lot of great Dodgers through the years. To me, Koufax is the one that is sort of sports icon, sports god worthy.
All right, well, you and I have some overlap here because I think there are some that are unassailable, and obviously Magic and Kobe are the 2. Now, though, that's where it ends for Lakers for me, as far as sports gods in LA. Sandy, I also had. Now, I really debated put a Shohei here.
Oh my God, I spent so much time about Shohei. Was it the Anaheim thing too?
Yeah, well, I mean, he was in Anaheim, but that is weird, the little brother kind of organization in LA. But just, we're watching like a living sports god. We really
Absolutely.
are.
But did you put him on?
I did not. I put Sandy Koufax on. And I don't understand why it took so long for Sandy Koufax to get a statue, by the way. I've never gotten a good answer on that. Anyway, my final spot, Mount Olympus, sports gods of LA. I took this from you. You put Joe Louis on your Detroit Mount Olympus because he's from Detroit.
Yes.
Serena Williams, ladies and gentlemen, learning tennis courts in Compton. Did anyone even know there were tennis courts in Compton, California before Serena Williams and Venus and the Williams family made that famous? You cannot ask for a more, like, bootstraps LA story as far as, you know, a father teaching his daughters how to play tennis in a place that seemed unlikely, right? Maybe the most unlikely. In the 90s, where, you know, things are particularly bad. And for Serena to win 23 major titles, most of the Open era, second all time. She's one of the great athletes that exist in sports, period, full stop. And she is synonymous with LA. Just look back at a Super Bowl halftime show. She comes out with Kendrick Lamar.
Yep.
She's the icon as far as, I want to just say women's athletes, like female athletes. I think just athletes. She is an icon in LA, and she's so associated with Los Angeles.
Totally agree. You know, the reason that I went with the Dodgers and Lakers, I think the Dodgers are a huge force in LA, and so are the Lakers. Serena is an individual.
Yep.
I just think the Lakers and the Dodgers seem like a bigger deal. It's like kind of part of the fabric of every sports fan thing. Serena, of course, she's Compton. Everybody knows the story. But I would just argue that I think the Dodgers and Lakers are a bigger deal to LA specific sports fans. Serena could go on the Mount Olympus of the nation. She doesn't need to be on LA to me.
Can I bring up why I did not put Kareem on my Mount Olympus? Because obviously I thought about it. I thought about Kareem. I thought about Dr. Jerry Buss. I thought about a lot of big figures in LA. I don't know the Kareem relationship with the Laker fans it is nothing to me like it. At least it seems like nothing to me like what Magic and what Kobe had, because Kareem himself is just a different type of personality. And I don't know, how fans in LA feel about him. I just know as personally being able to interview him a few times and being lucky enough to do that. He's like not this warm and fuzzy guy, and he's not going to be that guy for you, by the way. And, it's funny because he has like all these movie credits to his name, and I love the movie Airplane, and he was in that, and the Bruce Lee connection and all of it. But he was not like Magic's, 10,000 watt smile. That's not what you were getting from Kareem. He was not going to engage like that. So I don't know what his relationship is like with the Laker faithful.
I would say one thing. He chose LA twice. I mean, he could have gone. I mean, I guess, of course, he was going to go to UCLA, but he chose to come out there from New York, and then he, I believe, forced that trade in so many words out of Milwaukee. So he really embraced LA, and he was all into yoga and all that stuff. Like, I feel like it's pretty California.
He's into yoga.
Yeah, Kareem was pretty California. And we recently watched that show, Winning Time, on HBO. I understand what you're saying, but Kareem was the captain. It was in many ways his team throughout his run, along with Magic's team. Magic at a certain point took it over, but I understand what you're saying. Like, Kobe and Magic have a little bit of a different sports god feel, but Kareem is, to me, the definition of a sports god. Again, nothing wrong with Serena being there.
Can I tell you the other person who I really struggled with because I thought they had a case.
Who's that?
Like a Marcus Allen.
Ah, no way.
Or a Reggie Bush.
Oh, you're saying Marcus Allen from college?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there was actually one real LA.
Well, I know, and it would have been OJ, but obviously we're not doing OJ. He's not getting on the Mount Olympus. There's no way that's happening.
I actually thought about that too. Because college, USC is in many ways the pro football team through all these years.
Right. And so I'm like, I was thinking about that. I'm like, man, I feel like there is like a Marcus Allen, Reggie Bush does deserve to be here.
Absolutely. Reggie Bush in particular jumps to mind. And now Marcus Allen, I always get confused what was in LA, what was in Oakland. Obviously had the football, I think he won a Super Bowl for the LA Raiders. And the LA Raiders are huge because Ice Cube, I know that was a big deal when they were there. That's a good one. Don Drysdale actually jumped to mind because he in many ways was more of a Dodger than Sandy Koufax. He was like Mr. Hollywood as well. There are a lot of names. I mean, it's LA. It's got such a rich sports history. But by the way, I did one fun thing too.
What's up?
The anti-Mount Olympus. I have some names for you.
Okay, hold that thought for a second.
Yeah.
The anti-Mount Olympus. What do we call that? The Hades?
Yes.
Our Greek mythology gets a little mixed up when we try to go too deep here. Sean's in Oregon. Sean, who'd we leave off our Mount Olympus, the four sports gods of LA?
Hey, there's an ace pitcher that plays for the Dodgers, and I don't know how long he's going to be there. He's been there his entire career. And when was the last time an ace pitcher stayed with his team for his entire career like Clayton Kershaw?
Yep.
We went through a long drought, brother. I didn't see it. We won a World Series in 1988 with Kirk Gibson. And I like Tommy Lasorda. I'm one of Tommy's boys.
Yep.
And we just love Tommy Lasorda. And but Clayton Kershaw, he's made a difference there. And he'll forever be loved by Dodger Nation. Have a great day, guys.
Yeah,
Sean,
Kershaw was on my list too.
Okay, so the one thing about Kershaw, and I love him too, one of the great pitchers we've seen.
Did you know he went to high school with Matt Stafford?
No, oh my gosh. 4.5 ERA in the postseason.
Yeah, it's the postseason. But, they have gotten a couple, really one title. Yeah, it's hard. That was on my mind.
I don't know. It seems a little reductive just to put it down to that, especially because baseball's not really a sport that's counted like by rings. It's not the same type. It's not like basketball or, even for football quarterbacks to a certain extent. It's just not like that. You can be an amazing Hall of Fame player and never play in the playoffs, period.
Yep.
Mike Trout.
Well, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Gretzky easily could have made this, but he didn't win a title with LA. I think he spent 8 years there and obviously brought hockey to America. But if he had won a cup, then he might have gotten in there.
Lasorda's interesting.
That was what I thought.
Lasorda is a huge figure in LA.
His belly is a huge figure.
Oh, that's not nice.
Remember he used to do those Slim Fast commercials all those years.
He's not with us anymore.
I
Don't
know.
pick at his weight.
I did get a
I'm
chance
a Phillies
to interview
fan.
him once.
We had
It
a
was
big
great.
issue with Tommy Lasorda, who was from Philly, I believe. Yeah, Tommy Lasorda was great. But it's even like if you're going to put a coach, Pat Riley, I think would be the one.
Okay, but Pat
coach,
Riley.
I'm doing John Wooden.
John Wooden, you're right. I was thinking pro coaches. You're right. John Wooden, Pat Riley.
Now you got to share with New York and Miami.
Oh, New York.
Yeah, but I mean, I think Riley's biggest impact in the NBA was when he brought. Well, I guess West had brought it, but the Showtime Lakers, you could easily. That's a great question. Wooden is unassailable.
Wooden would be a place all of his own.
He is someone I feel like maybe should have made this list.
Yeah, but who are you taking out?
I think I would take Koufax out.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
but
tough, though.
But to have
the
four
peak
basketball
was high,
guys,
short.
4 basketball guys in a city. We've had this problem where you don't want to do all the same sport. That's the only issue. But there's nothing wrong with Wooden.
And maybe this is I could have a wrong feel for the Dodgers. I love the city of LA. I just feel like the Dodgers are almost larger than any player.
Yeah, the franchise is big.
Like it's so like where the Lakers, like almost all they have is star power. Like that is the life force of the star power is not the life force of the Dodgers. I know it may feel that way now because of like the players they've had, but I feel like the Dodgers are just kind of an institution. The Lakers, I feel like the star power is what powers the organization.
You're always waiting for the next star, and lo and behold, what happened this year? Luka falls out of the sky.
So I don't have a problem putting a lot of Lakers on there. If I had to do 3, I would have done the 3 that you guys did. But then I think I would have put someone like John Wooden, who's just so, again, I mean, the greatest college basketball coach of all time, maybe the greatest coach of all time.
If you had to do football, I've seen Deacon Jones made some lists. I think Aaron Donald would be fine, but it doesn't feel it's football's been in and out of the town to do a pro football team.
Yeah,
would be
football,
weird.
A pro football weird relationship, right, with the city of LA.
Can I give you my Mount Hades?
No, let's save it. Wait, you have to do this right now?
We can save it. I don't know if anyone's staying in their car to hear this one, but.
Well, that kind of tease. This is the Mount Hades. This is the anti-sport, the anti-heroes, the anti-sports
this would be the underworld, the 4 Hades of
Maggie Perloff. Maggie and Perloff.
I love this part of it.
That actually suits our show a little bit more. And Perloff definitely took a shot at Tommy Lasorda's weight.
I'm sure Tiana Trump somewhere in there.
Well, I almost said me and Angelo Cataldi both consider the Philly fanatic for Philly on Friday, whose arch nemesis was Tommy Lasorda.
That's true.
I don't know if Tommy Lasorda gets over Drysdale, Koufax, Kershaw, Garvey.
Well, maybe that's why the Dodgers representative should be Vin Scully.
Vin Scully would have been great.
Vin Scully, I
Chick
thought.
Hearn, which should have gotten some play, too.
So EJ knows this. I said I gave him my 4 last night. And I said, I'm going to Jedi mind trick Perloff here because I think he felt so bad that Bob Uecker did not make your Wisconsin Mount Olympus. I thought you were going to put Vin Scully on.
Could have.
Just a bit outside.
The problem is LA, you have 500 titles. There's so many big athletes. It's not Milwaukee. No offense to Milwaukee.
Can I give you another one? So we mentioned this when we did Dallas, the Mount Olympus of sports gods in Dallas. And I think it was mentioned in jest, but by you, Pearl. I think it was by you. But the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders.
I definitely would put them on there, but I'm not sure I said that.
So the Laker girls.
Well,
do they rise to the same level as Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders? They are iconic. It's not one person. Paul Abdul is probably the most famous one, but it's not like, do they deserve a consideration in terms of the sports scene? Maybe not over John Wooden, but you know what I'm saying?
I don't think they're quite the level of Cowboys cheerleaders. I mean, that was the Cowboys cheerleaders when I was a kid were on Love Boat. Like they were.
But to be fair,
they're iconic.
The
in
Laker
LA?
girls were part of Showtime. That was part of the strategy behind Showtime, was to also have the Laker girls. Like that was a whole thing. We saw that in the Winning Time show. I think they're probably the second most famous cheerleader group in the world besides the Cowboys.
Anyway,
probably,
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. What'd we get right? What'd we get wrong? The Mount Olympus, the 4 sports gods from the city of LA, and Perloff will do the gods of the underworld of LA next.
Remember Bobo Brazil, I grew out of wrestling. I was 12 or 13, I stopped watching TV. I moved out of the house, we sold the TV. I think I went to school and watched less wrestling. Bob Custer in Nevada. 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 Bob Custer in Nevada.
Pine Needles wakes up at dawn. Coffee brewing, screen turned on. He's got a favorite show to see. The Maggie and Perloff Symphony. Oh, Pine Needles are tuned in tight to infinity. Sports radio every night. Maggie and Perloff, your daily delight. In their words you find your life. From highlights to the breaking news, every take you can't refuse. In the chat he's always there with comments, questions, wisdom to share. Oh, Pine Needles are tuned in tight to infinity. Sports radio every night. Maggie and Perloff, your daily delight. In their words you find your life. When the games get tough and the stakes are high, Pine Needles knows where to rely on the voices that break it down. Maggie and Perloff never let him down. He's got a playlist all saved up, from epic wins to the close-up. Loyal viewer through and through. Pine Needles, this song's for you. Oh, Pine Needles are tuned in tight to infinity. Sports radio every night. Maggie and Perloff, your daily delight. In their words you find your life. So here's to the fan, always engaged with every comment, every page.
1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Wait a minute, I know you. You're Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You play basketball for the Los Angeles Lakers.
I'm sorry, son, but you must have me confused with someone else. My name is Roger Murdoch. I'm the co-pilot.
You are Kareem. I've seen you play. My dad's got season tickets.
It's Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Of course, we're doing the Mount Olympus, 4 sports gods for every major sports city, and today is L.A. I put Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on there. Maggie did not, in part because I love the movie Airplane, which that quote was from. But also, he has 6 MVPs. You're aware of this. Bill Russell has 5, and Michael Jordan has 5. Your guy LeBron has 4, and Wilt has 4. He is arguably a top 3 of all-time NBA player. So I understand why people want to put Magic and Kobe. They're big figures in LA, but Kareem belongs at the top of Mount Olympus, and you left him off, Maggie. Explain.
Well, my dad says that you don't only run up and down the court and don't really try except during the playoffs. That's the other line from Airplane.
You try dragging Walton and Lanier up and down the court.
Busting my buns every night.
Yeah.
Such a great line from Kareem and great movie. I know the reason why I didn't put him as my sports gods, I know what a great basketball player he is. I don't think he connected with the city in the way that Magic and Kobe did. And then I got to go to Sandy Koufax, and then I got to go to Serena Williams. There's so many amazing figures in L.A., and the fact that we did leave off John Wooden, which now does feel like a huge mistake. I mean,
yes, but a city like L.A., I think you could do 4 athletes. I've kind of leaned athletes over coaches unless you really needed to fill a spot.
No, I mean, if you had Tommy Lasorda on here, I don't think people would have gotten upset about that.
Is Tommy Lasorda a greater? I mean, you could do a side one. I think Riley was a bigger deal than Tommy Lasorda.
Yeah, I just feel like Lasorda is so thought of as LA. I think for Riley, now he's been in Miami for so long, put the Heatles together. Obviously, Showtime Lakers, but I also think about that with Jerry Buss. Is he more Showtime Lakers even than Riley?
Well, I don't know. I think Pat Riley, yes, he's been in Miami forever, but he invented something with the Lakers. Like that was the slick back hair. To me, that's so iconic. Where Tommy Lasorda was really, really good for many, many years, but he wasn't the dominant coaching figure in the sport.
You promised us a Hades at Gods of the Underworld of LA, which is interesting because I don't know where you're taking this.
Oh, it's easy. I was thinking there were some names. It started because I was looking at OJ because he had so much success at USC, but he could go into the underworld. The non-sports gods. Obviously, Donald Sterling, the Clippers owner, is the head of that. OJ, Donald Sterling, Ipe, who tried to ruin your guy, Shohei Ohtani.
Ipe!
And I couldn't come up with a 4th one, but I got a good one. D'Angelo Russell for ratting out Nick Young to Iggy Azalea was my 4th sports Hades. Because LA's had a lot of sports success recently. It was hard to find a bad one, but I'm going to put D'Angelo Russell, who's also kind of a disappointment as a player. So that's my 4th.
That is funny.
Pretty unassailable.
That's a good list.
I mean, he definitely ratted out Swaggy P.
Oh, definitely. That was.
He filmed him. He posted it.
By the way, we can't put in. I don't mean to put in with OJ and Donald Sterling.
The offenses are a little bit different.
But and Ipe was a shout out to you, Maggie, because of your Ipe obsession.
I still don't know. Someone's
by the way,
placing $17 million worth of bets. You have no idea.
Have you followed? Like he's not showing up to court. Like there's a lot going on with Ipe. I don't. You got to get back. You got to. What's your latest obsession again? I can't remember. Bill Belichick. You got to drop that and get back to Ipe. Ipe's doing all sorts of weird things.
What is this, some kind of intervention, guys? I'm fine, okay?
He's calling the plays, but she's calling the shots. It's time for As the Tar Heel Turns.
That's Maggie's baby right there.
Did I write that copy? Yes, I did.
I thought that was about Perloff and Maggie for a second.
Fair.
You know what? No, Belichick's my new obsession. Me and I guess Pablo Torre, although he's really doing the legwork here.
Yeah. Can they just play a darn football game at some point?
It's going to be all downhill from there.
I think I'm going to read the MRI.
They're going to go out there and be 8-3 against a horrible ACC schedule. And we're going to be left in limbo, not knowing if Bill Belichick's a good coach. I'm telling you, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Or a good boyfriend.
No, it turns out he's an awesome boyfriend.
Are they going to show her during the games? I'm sorry, now I'm getting into
Yes, definitely.
You have to.
But does she hide knowing?
No.
Does she hide? Have you met Jordan Hudson? Well, none of us have, but... we can imagine.
Is Mike Lombardi, the GM of North Carolina football, going to lock her in a closet come 12 noon on Saturday?
Oh, man. Those are pretty good. I have not been following the Ipe thing. So
yeah,
he's
Ipe
just not been showing up
to
court?
I don't. That's the headline I saw.
No, he didn't report to prison, remember?
And
then they changed the date, and I think that date has passed, and he still is... technically a free man.
That guy just plays by his own rules.
Is he on the lam?
Well, now I think Maggie, your friends in the conspiracy circles, I think started to think that maybe he's been like silenced or he's been forgiven for taking the fall and he's been like swept away somewhere
By who?
Like
the Illuminati.
Yeah, like the Shohei people. The other Shohei people have like
the Yakuza. Oh no!
I've watched. I mean,
yeah.
Makes sense.
So it's like, okay, thanks for taking the fall. Everyone thinks, except for Maggie, that Shohei's innocent. Now, instead of jail, you're in a place where no one's going to find you, and you can actually be free for the rest of your life. Just like off the grid.
But he's like with the deflator somewhere?
I don't know.
He's been exiled to Taiwan.
But he's not in jail. He's still not in jail.
Is he still placing bets on UCLA women's soccer? Because this guy has a serious
That's the one
problem.
thing they asked.
Meanwhile, this was the TV show about
Hiroshima
Shohei.
Toyocarp against the Yomiuri Giants. What's the money line on that one?
Yeah.
Wait, is he in trouble because UCLA women's soccer isn't shaping up to be good this season? Is that what you mean?
He kept betting on that. I don't
Big
know.
Ten schedule is rough.
Apparently he was betting on women's soccer. Lionsgate is developing a show about Shohei and Ipe.
Oh, of course. Everything's a show now. There's probably 4 Bill Belichick shows in the works.
Well, I know
3 executive produced by Pablo Torre.
And the other one by Jordan Hudson.
I was going to say, she tried to get one produced herself. And
Fortunately, there's probably one also starring Tiana Trump.
Spin-off.
Nobody wants to see that, by the way.
Huh?
Nobody wants to see an adult film based on Bill Belichick and Jordan Hudson, dude.
I'm telling you, it's being made.
Well, we got the Ring camera, so let's find out.
There might be one.
Exactly. Let's find out. Put that out on the internet.
I don't want a Bow Chicka Bow Wow film with Bill Belichick. No
Ray
thanks.
J, Kim K type of action.
Who are the sickos who want to see that?
Patriots fans.
Got real quiet around here.
I mean, I'm sure. There's a lot of things that goes on the drop-down menu. There's a lot of subcategories of these websites. I would think old man, young woman is one of them.
Is that right?
Do you think there's a
Robert
line?
Kraft video?
Is cut off sweatshirt one of them?
Yeah, I mean, has the internet found
That's
something
it?
that's inappropriate that no one wants to see? We watched Rex Ryan's feet. Or is
No.
Mrs. Rex Ryan's feet?
Yeah, I don't know if I want to see
I
Rex
think
feet.
he put that
There's
video
a
out
page
there.
of Maggie's feet. Everybody
I know.
likes something.
I'm so
Nobody likes Bill Belichick. No, except Jordan
Except
Hudson.
Jordan, yeah.
Yeah.
And
I just
Bostonians.
now I can't get off the hoodie and nothing else. Like, are we Winnie the Pooh style with the hoodie? I'm sorry.
Oh, Christ.
Why did you come back?
Listen, my name's on the show.
Yeah. Yeah,
but
you just...
honestly, the wiki feet thing with me is weird. It's odd. My feet are huge. Like, why that is? I don't know why there's so many entries.
Intern Nick, this is Maggie. Her feet are enormous, by the way.
Facts.
Listen, I'm not into feet at all, but I would take that 10 times out of 10 over Bill Belichick and a hoodie and nothing else.
During coitus.
Oh, God.
I think you said Winnie the Pooh. It's just something I just can't unhear.
Sorry.
Bill Belichick just standing there like Winnie the Pooh.
What do you call it when it's shirt, no pants? You got another word?
The Pooh.
Oh, boy. Bogusch, it's you. Updates,
Oh,
headlines.
thanks, guys. The Thunder wasted little time showing that they had recovered from their Game 1 heartbreak.
Shea sheds Nemhart. Dances and spins up and in. A right-hand reverse. Timeout, Indiana. 52-29 Thunder. The thunderstorm is in full bloom now, baby. And I hear some hail.
It's not the best pillow talk from Matt Pinto on Thunder Radio, but it was a
Weather puns for Perloff, though. This is like
Wow,
catnip.
by the way, you might actually have to beware of actual hail, right? It's crazy weather
tornadoes
right now.
going down right
I know.
now.
You sent us that story. That
Yeah, they had to produce a game out of Bristol because there's tornadoes all over the area. As someone is a big fan of Twisters, too, I know all about this.
I love Sharknado, so I mean, I'm all in with the tornadoes.
No, anytime that Perloff can get weather talk into the show, he'll do it.
Him and
Weather
Mike
and
Trout,
traffic.
man. Weather and traffic with Andrew Perloff
Is
Top
that
of the
true, by
hour.
the way? Or
I don't know.
on the 8s.
It's better than bottomless Bill Belichick or whatever.
Bottomless Bill Belichick.
I wonder what his shape is.
Like he's like a mimosa.
No. Bottomless mimosas are good.
Well, in both instances, you leave there puking.
Ah.
Back to you, Bogues.
Oh, thanks. Okay, so took control of Game 2 in the second quarter. Basically never looked back. They won 123-107 to level the finals at 1. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander finishing with 34 and 8 assists.
We got stops. We ran. We capitalized on our opportunities. We just strung it together, and I think we we strung it together more often than we did in game one.
SGA now has a record 72 points through his first 2 finals games, and he had help last night, 19 points from Jalen Williams, 20 off the bench from Alex Caruso. The Pacers supporting cast was not the issue last night. It was Tyrese Halliburton only scoring 5 points through 3 quarters, and Pascal Siakam missing 8 of the 11 shots he took. At least they'll be back at home for Game 3 on Wednesday night. The Yankees did not win on Sunday Night Baseball, falling at home to the Red Sox 11-7, but the Mets did win in the afternoon in Colorado.
There's the 0-1.
Where?
Hit high and deep to left field. Beck going back to the track. He looks up, and it is gone! 2-run home run, Pete Alonso. 12-3 Mets in the top of the 8th, and now one more person to jump on that leaderboard list. Career home run number 243. He is now second all-time on the Mets home run list.
Keith Radd on Mets Radio. Alonso, 2 of the Mets' 6 homers in a 13-5 rout of the Rockies. The Amazons get a 3-game sweep. They go 5-2 on this road trip. They're a season-high 18 games over 500, 4.5 games clear of the Phillies atop the NL East. And as for that all-time home run list, Alonso jumping David Wright for solo second and is now chasing only Darryl Strawberry.
Mets have the most wins. Mets have the most wins in National League, right?
They do.
We're gonna take a quick impartial show of hands while Bogusch. Everyone think about this while Bogusch does more of his update here. There's 2 comments right now in the chat that we could read or we could not read.
I mean, we're reading them.
Well, why don't you continue with your update and let's let the producers take a look and
the
see
Green
if they
Bay-
think it's a good idea.
The Green Bay Packers now expected to release corner Jair Alexander later today. He's only played 14 games over the last 2 seasons after making 2 Pro Bowls in a 3-year span. And the Texans are reportedly signing veteran running back Nick Chubb. The Chicago Sky confirmed yesterday that veteran point guard Courtney Vandersloot suffered a torn right ACL on Saturday. The 36-year-old just became the franchise's leading scorer. And both Manny and I mentioned last night's Vancouver-Seattle MLS match on Friday.
Yes.
Because Vancouver wasn't sure would be able to play with multiple players sick after a trip to Mexico and 9 others away from the team for international duty.
You're welcome, Caps.
They did play last night, and they won 3-0 over the Sounders, extending their MLS unbeaten streak to 11 matches.
Soccer in the Pacific Northwest, girl. Telling you. Nothing like it.
Did they trace back what did everybody eat or something in Mexico? Or they all drank the water by accident somewhere you shouldn't?
I did not see the follow-up for an explanation, but it was like 26 of the 33 people in the traveling party were sick.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Did you get sick when you went to Mexico and you didn't tell me?
Well, when I ate that habanero pepper by accident.
Oh, no, I remember that.
Vacation really took a turn.
By accident and on purpose.
Yep.
I think they should label those.
They did.
They most certainly did. But probably both English and Spanish.
Maybe, or alternative solution, maybe you could be a little less soft.
Dude, the next
I'm just kidding.
The next show bet we do is Perloff eating a habanero, and then let's just sit back and wait.
I can't even do medium spicy salsa. I'm not going to do it a habanero. I was totally joking.
I thought I was going to end up in a Cancun emergency room. I really did. Thankfully, I did not.
We call that the lobby of a hotel.
Throw that behind the swim-up bar.
That would have closed the pool. 2 comments from the chat, youtube.com/InfinitySportsNet, twitch.tv/InfinitySportsNetwork. Kevin saying Maggie has blessed feet. Do you realize how many blessings had to be said over these feet to get them to the size they are? This is every world religion, major and minor. Somehow bless my feet. And as we were talking about the idea of Bill Belichick wearing a hoodie and nothing else, informally known as being Winnie the Pooh, Drunkle Sam said Bill got his head stuck in the honey pot. We're going to go to break. We've got the M&P 500 coming up next. Whose stock is up, whose stock is down after a big weekend.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The M&P 500 on the Infinity Sports Network.
Welcome back to Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff Show on your radio. We do M&P 500 every Monday. Perl, stock up, stock down from the weekend. Who you got?
Okay, can I start with one of my favorites? This is a random one, but Nick Chubb is reportedly going to sign with the Texans. It's not a done deal today. This, to me, is the most talented running back that never really was, because he was stuck in Cleveland, then he kept getting hurt. I love Nick Chubb, and I think the Texans are going to be a contender. If he is healthy, he'll be behind Joe Mixon, but I think this is a quiet NFL story that is about to explode. I think he could be great there because I'm all about the Texans now. My guy, Nick Chubb, stock up to finally being a winner, and getting out of Cleveland is good.
Not concerned at all about C.J. Stroud's shoulder, which we haven't really heard much about since that one day.
Yeah, no, not really. Wouldn't that have been a bigger deal if he had surgery?
I don't know. I'm just not sure.
Because
It sounds like you're expecting big things from the Texans this year.
Well, the Super Bowl odds are huge. Like, honestly, the odds would have moved. Yeah, I mean, the Texans should win that division. They've really loaded up this offseason. I think if Stroud's okay, they should be amazing, right? I think their defense, I think they'll jump to number 1 defense in the league probably. Like, and even without Stroud, they should be able to just dominate. Look at their defensive line. It's insane. You're not seeing the Texans?
I am. I just want to see what's going on with that shoulder. That's all. We're doing stock up, stock down, the M&P 500. Stock up, Carlos Alcaraz with an all-time comeback yesterday.
It's over! Carlos Alcaraz reigns in Roland Garros.
Down in the 4th set, he was down 5-3, facing triple championship point against Jannik Sinner. At that point, Sinner was minus 50,000 to win the French Open final.
Damn.
And Alcaraz comes back, Pearl. It was all-time stuff. I mean, really legendary. I know he's not American, and I know it's tennis, but we are watching like a meteor. I don't even know how to describe him. People were worried in tennis, what happens after Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic will eventually retire too. Sport could be in really good shape here with Alcaraz, and he and Sinner have now developed this really good rivalry, and yesterday was a huge chapter in that rivalry.
Do you think that Sinner can develop to be the foil? Because Federer eventually had Nadal, and then they both had Djokovic. I think you need at least 2. I was wondering about Sinner. Because Sinner obviously was number 1 coming into this, had the match won, but I saw something there. I'm like, oh, this guy's definitely losing the mental battle to Alcaraz.
Yeah, well, that's part of it, right? He's in order for this to be a real rivalry.
Like, I worry that Sinner has to hold up his end of the bargain.
I think he's going to. I don't know if people still look at him kind of askance because he did have a PED situation, but it ended up getting rectified where he was not really found at fault for it, which I always thought was a little bit odd. But anyway, this is Alcaraz's world. We're all living in it. He's a pretty charismatic guy on top of it too. So I think he's going to start becoming an even bigger part of our lives with performances like that.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I'll say, another devil's advocate, tennis, like, when did it change where if you're the best at tennis, you win every tournament? When I was a kid, I felt like you just get a lot more parity. Now it's like the same 2 or 3 guys always win every tournament.
Well, I mean, it was like that with Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic.
Right. I'm saying, no, now, like, going back to that. It used to be, now it's like nobody can ever break into that. There's never a wild card tennis winner. It's very rare these days. Maybe there wasn't when I was a kid, but I just feel like the sport's so top heavy. Of course, Djokovic gets old. Of course, now Alcaraz is going to win every tournament because Djokovic set the all-time. The fact that the all-time major win title just keeps on going down to a new player says to me the sport doesn't have any parity anymore, for what it's worth.
I got to think about a little bit more about.
I mean, it's crazy, right? How many does Djokovic have? 20.
Off the top of my head,
24. I'm curious if Alcaraz could chase him. Okay, stock down. Can we go back to Tyrese Halliburton? It's not the scoring that bothered me last night. The fact that he had more turnovers and assists for an all-NBA-style point guard, like, what happened to him? Why was he not awake for this game, Maggie? I can't understand it.
I think he's trying to be too unselfish, looking for teammates a little bit too much, not looking for his own shot.
But and he wasn't even finding teammates in this game.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the turnovers have been horrific.
Sorry, he ended up with 6 assists and 5 turnovers.
I mean, this is why I think that the Pacers are not out of this thing, because he hasn't played well. I mean, he has this all-time game-winning shot from game 1, but before that, he was not playing well, and they were turning the ball over like crazy. And last night, he didn't play great.
Well, I think the alternative theory is the Thunder are just really good at defending him. Maybe this is a tough matchup because the Thunder have so many guys who can come at you. I'm not sure he'll be able to turn that around. If he does get hot, then the Thunder will just stick Keyshawn Wallace and Lou Dort on him. Anyway.
Amazing.
Disappointed.
Stock up. I'm going to do a little roller coaster of stock up, stock down here. I'm not trying to throw Manny off here on a Monday, but okay. So the first thing that happened, and this is all part of Yankees Red Sox from yesterday, you had Hunter Dobbins, who is apparently a lifelong Red Sox fan, but from Texas, said that he'd rather retire than ever play for the New York Yankees.
I'd rather die than put on a Red Sox jersey.
Well, that's you. But Hunter Dobbins, who's actually playing Major League Baseball, and this could be something, said that 31 other teams he would play for if the Yankees, 29 other teams. If the Yankees offered him a contract, he would retire. This guy's a rookie, granted. So he faces Aaron Judge yesterday, and this is what happened.
Here's first pitch. Judge strikes one. Deep right center field. Just watching. Goodbye. 15 rows up, Suze. 15 rows up.
And that's obviously Dave Sims and Susan Waldman on the Fan. So that's
hey now!
Stock down for Hunter Dobbins. Later in the game, Jazz Chisholm, who's just come back basically for the Yankees, he was mic'd up on Sunday Night Baseball. They're about to start asking about these Dobbins comments, and then this happens.
What are your thoughts on what Hunter Dobbins said earlier about retiring rather than being in pinstripes?
I think we're looking at... 1 second. Oh. Damn it!
Damn it.
Spin throw.
Spin throw is right. Difficult play. Difficult.
Yeah, that's all right. We gonna get it.
It's ruled a hit.
A hit and an error.
Jazz Chisholm Pearl is mic'd up. They start asking about this Dobbins comment. He would never want to play for the Yankees. He'd rather retire. And Chisholm has a ball hit to him, and he commits an error.
Oh, my God. Has that ever happened before?
Yeah, I think sometimes it throws guys off.
That's what I wondered. I've always wondered that. I'm like, is this a distraction? But it's pretty rare that the ball gets hit to the guy who's mic'd up. But, this is... If I'm Major League Baseball, I think the players could make a good argument. Like, hey, look what just happened. Let's not do this anymore.
Darn it. So that would be stock down. Jazz Chisholm and the Yankees. But then who gets the last laugh? Hunter Dobbins and the Red Sox, because they won the game and won the series last night, Manny. You got to do it. Begrudgingly, he had to give a thumbs up there to the Red Sox.
Can I give a stock up for Manny?
Sure.
How about Cristiano Ronaldo and Portugal winning the UEFA Nations League title? Stock up. Let's be honest, though. Were the tears afterwards, a crying Cristiano, was that a bit much?
Yes, you are asking the Barcelona fan about Cristiano Ronaldo. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to be impartial. That might have been a little much. I was watching the game with my parents, and when Cristiano was, refusing to turn around and watch what was happening, my mom was, stop being so dramatic. I'm 41 years old. It was a little dramatic, but you know what? I mean, that's the third ever trophy that Portugal has won, and all of them are underneath with Cristiano playing with the jersey on. So, I mean, I'm indifferent.
He was
great game. That's what I cared about.
Big tears afterwards. I was shocked. Because once again, I didn't know how big this tournament was. But I guess it was a big deal.
But don't you realize?
It's a semi-big deal.
Well, it's also, this squares. Don't you think as you get older, you get more emotional about stuff?
Yep. When you're 41, it means something different than Yamal, who's 17, right?
Yeah, he's got his whole career in front.
He did not have a good game. Lamine Yamal did not play well.
Final one for you. I got a stock down here for wildlife at NASCAR events.
Don't disparage my NASCAR now.
No, Manny Tires all over this one. Ty Dillon, though, unfortunately, hit a squirrel as he was entering a pit stop during a NASCAR Cup race in Michigan yesterday, Michigan International Speedway. He said afterwards, I murdered a squirrel. I mean, this is like everyday problems. I live in the sticks, so hitting squirrels and stuff like that happens all the time. You don't think it's going to happen at a NASCAR race?
Is this like when Randy Johnson killed a bird pitching?
Yeah, murder also suggests intent. Did he try to kill a squirrel? No, it was accident.
Well,
yeah, that's true. It was unfortunate.
Honestly, a squirrel could do more damage than he could. I mean, imagine if he tried to swerve out of the way of the squirrel at 145 miles an hour.
Sounds like vehicular manslaughter to me.
Just think about of all the unfortunate places for a squirrel to find themselves. A NASCAR race? It's awful.
You're in a 5-minute break.
some giant feet. They're the talk of the town. When she walks the sidewalk cracks, she's bringing buildings down. She tried to buy some shoes, but they said no way. Now she's wearing boat sails just to get through the day. Maggie's giant feet, they're a real big deal. Stepping on puddles, creating lakes for real. Maggie's giant feet, they make a mighty thud. But Maggie just laughs, hey, it's all in good fun. She went to a dance, cleared out the floor. Her feet made the music, folks yelled for more. At the beach, she's a hit, making giant sand castles. Her footprint's so big, they're like dinosaur battles. She went to a dance, cleared out the floor. Her feet made the music, folks yelled for more. At the beach, she's a hit, making giant sand castles. Her footprint's so big, they're like dinosaur battles. Maggie's giant feet, they're a real big deal. Stepping on puddles, creating lakes for real. Maggie's giant feet, they make a mighty thud. But Maggie just laughs, hey, it's all in good fun. She went to a dance, cleared out the floor. So here's to Maggie and her feet so grand. She's the funniest girl in all the land. With her giant feet, she's never beat. Maggie's big feet make life so sweet. Oh, Maggie.
2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
So we like to say on the show, nothing's impossible. Welcome in, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. I'm not talking about somehow the Pacers winning this NBA Finals now after the Thunder have evened things up at one game apiece, Pearl. I'm talking about trying to find the 4 definitive sports gods from the city of Los Angeles. We've called this our Mount Olympus project, and as we go through all the great cities in this country and parts of Canada, today the City of Angels is where we're looking as far as athletes are concerned. Your 4 sports gods of LA, Pearl.
Okay.
Remind our audience who they are.
Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Sandy Koufax. The LA Dodgers ace got the 4th spot.
Okay, I also went with Magic and with Kobe. I also put Sandy in there as the representative for the Dodgers. I put Serena Williams, though, as my 4th sports goddess of LA because it's an individual sport, so she couldn't have played there per se, but her story and being raised on the streets of Compton and her father teaching her tennis on the streets of Compton before they got into the academies and all that stuff is legendary. She's so associated with LA, even just this most recent Super Bowl halftime show when Kendrick Lamar brings her out as the one celebrity kind of appearance.
And a lot of people have seen that movie King Richard with Will Smith. It's very much defined by the place. I like it because I had Joe Louis in Detroit. It seems like the same thing.
Very much so. And so a couple, I think these are the types of things that get EJ a little bit mad at us, because you bring up a good point. Where is John Wooden on the sports gods of Los Angeles? And
this crap is crap.
The one thing about this, DJ, not to make you the face of it, but Wooden all time, right? The pyramid still exists. His coaches are still coaching by the principles of John Wooden. So I understand how relevant he still is today, but there is a lot that feels like UCLA has just, and I know Ben Howland had a couple good years and some Final Fours, but UCLA basketball, no disrespect, Mick Cronin, is not a thing anymore.
This might be the thing that gets me off.
I just think, my thing is, why would you put a coach on there when you have an athlete? Because at the end of the day, the athletes are what makes sports go, not the coaches.
Because I think some coaches are icons.
They are, but I think to be in a city like LA, when you have 65 Hall of Fame level guys, I get it in a city. I just think that it's weird because John Wooden, as amazing as he was not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
But we put Vince Lombardi on our Wisconsin. I mean, I did. I think
smaller market.
Well, but still, so here's the thing: is it Wooden? You put Kareem on yours because of UCLA and because of the Lakers. You could have put Bill Walton. I guess would have been the other iconic, or maybe Jamal Wilkes, whoever you want to put on. But wasn't Wooden kind of the face of that program? I get it with a college coach.
Yeah, he was the face of it. I just think to be in a city like this, a Mount Olympus should be for athletes. That's I think to be an athlete is more rare than to be a coach. Well, John Wooden was all time, obviously, but
there's never going to be anybody more rare than John Wooden, though. Nobody's going to have Gino Auriemma, who else has had the success he's had championship-wise. And don't forget about that. Not just that. Also, the amount of people he put into the NBA that played for the Lakers.
Yeah,
Gail Goodrich. Obviously, you talked about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jamal Wilkes. These are guys that also then became icons playing for the most iconic team, arguably, in the city.
Did have Sam Gilbert, who was a trendsetter in that way, too. If you read about the history of UCLA basketball.
Yeah.
There were some handshakes going on.
Well, listen. Well, that's the other part of it, right? That kind of dominance. You're right. UConn women, okay? But you're not really seeing that kind of dominance anymore. Does that make it feel a little bit more like a relic? I'm not saying John Wooden and his principles are not. I'm just saying that it's almost like we put a lot of Yankees on our New York Mount Olympus, but most of the ones we put on were Babe Ruth. You put Joe DiMaggio.
That's the city. That's the thing. LA has that level of sports god.
Right, but I'm just saying that could have gotten picked apart because Babe Ruth was not playing in an integrated sport at the time because there wasn't, there's nothing modern about it. And in some ways, UCLA basketball, even though it was the 60s and 70s, which is not ancient by any means, but you would just never have that kind of parity anymore.
Right.
That kind of dominance. Right. Pardon me.
Well, the thing about Babe Ruth, yes, it was not integrated, but that was an era where every single kid in America wanted to be a baseball player. So now nobody wants to be a baseball player. So it's a different sport. It wasn't like Babe Ruth was playing against nobodies. Everybody, the entire country tried to play baseball.
Right.
And then a lot of athletes were left out of that, but still it was competitive. Anyway, I just think that if you're doing a sports god, the things that Magic and Kareem and Kobe and Sandy Koufax and these kind of guys could do, that's godlike to me. And Wooden was arguably the greatest coach of all time, but still, if you have relevant, like an athlete, that's just so rare to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I hear you. Also, I agree with you. It feels dated. Like if John Wooden did this in the 80s, then maybe I'm in. I'll put Bob Knight in Indiana in a second.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. So who did we leave off? Do you like our list here? The Mount Olympus, Maggie and Perloff, the 4 sports gods today. Los Angeles. If you want to take a look, you can vote on our polls at Maggie and Pearl on X, on Instagram as well at Maggie and Perloff. And while we're here, I should mention new channel on SiriusXM 375. There you go. Come up and find us. Also, the free Odyssey app you can download. Take us everywhere you go. Got the rewind function. It's crystal clear. The podcast.
Sounds like people are mad that there's no Vince Scully on you guys' list.
Vince Scully
can't
on social media.
Can't believe you guys omitted Yasiel Puig.
By the way, nobody mentioned LeBron.
Nobody in LA will mention LeBron.
I don't think LeBron's getting that treatment.
Lisa Leslie makes some lists. I see Elgin Baylor's made some lists. This is for you!
So Vince Scully, we did get chastised by our pal Bart Winkler in a very nice way, in a very Midwestern way, that Bart was mad we didn't have Bob Uecker on the list for our Wisconsin, for being the voice of the Brewers for so long. Vince Scully is difficult, but Scully, Chick Hearn, I was going to say Chick Hearn's got a statue outside of whatever they call that now.
Is the NBA version of Vince Scully.
Right. And is it in some ways responsible for Pat Riley?
Yeah.
Because he was the one who brought Pat over to the TV broadcasts, and then Pat eventually took over as an assistant coach and then the coach of the Lakers before Showtime.
Yeah, Vince Scully. Gosh, I got to remember broadcasters.
Well, I mean, Vince Scully, Bob Uecker. I don't know if you're going to find that in every town.
Well, no, there are other, Jack Buck and Ernie Harwell. And
I've got a bag of Barbies in my basement.
Yeah. On Friday, we had Angelo Cataldi. It's a longtime Philadelphia sports radio host. Had Harry Callis. Certainly deserved consideration. Harry Callis, you might not know who he is, but you know his voice.
Oh, yeah.
In Philadelphia.
That's a pack a day.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm wondering if there are any other cities. We got to get back on these broadcasts. If Scully would have won the poll, we're doing polls on these. Scully would have won the poll.
So you can, again, go to at Maggie and Pearl on X and you can vote. I think the other thing that's not being represented here, and it's along the same line as EJ saying we should have had John Wooden in more of a consideration. USC football, I feel like, should have been more of a consideration also in doing sports gods. Obviously, OJ out. But Marcus Allen could have been in, and that's someone who...
Well, why Marcus Allen over...
Or Reggie Bush.
Yeah. What, Charles White? Was that the other... There's a lot of legends. Who is it a no-brainer that...
Sam Darnold.
Who's the greatest USC Trojan? Who's the one Trojan?
Matt Leinart.
I think it might be Reggie.
It might be OJ.
I think it's Orenthal.
It might be, but obviously that's going to be problematic here.
If it's not OJ, then it's going to be the Marcus Allen or Reggie, I would think.
Try to keep this fun.
I know, right? I mean, Marcus. I mean, he also had one of the most iconic Super Bowl runs ever, playing for the Los Angeles Raiders.
Right.
So
but nobody remembers where the Raiders happened to be at that time, or not everybody.
People in LA
remembers.
do. I mean,
in LA it's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean that was they were an iconic team, that '83 Raiders team.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Mike is in Syracuse. Mike, what did we get wrong here, sir?
Well, just to give you a little clarity. Marcus Allen did play his entire Raider career in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
he didn't make the move, huh?
No, Kansas. I think when he left to go to Kansas City, I think that's also the year that they went back to Oakland. But I really want to double down with EJ and say John Wooden's got to be on here.
Yeah.
Who gets the John R. Wooden Memorial Award each and every year? The best college basketball players in the men's and the women's game. He's still relevant.
Yeah, that's a good one.
This guy's a fox.
Mike, who do you take off?
It's tough because they do have so many. My list would have been Magic, Kobe, Marcus Allen, and John Wooden. And in the green room, I'm going to put Carl Lewis.
I thought about him, but isn't he from Jersey or somewhere in the East?
He lives in Jersey. I think he was born in Alabama.
Yeah,
I think.
I Googled this yesterday because I was thinking Carl Lewis too, but
yeah, he ran for the Santa Monica Track Club.
Okay.
So professionally, he did do his stuff out there. I do like Maggie's addition of Serena, but last time I knew, some of these rules were not somebody from there that actually applied their craft. there.
Mike. So that we had
I
some
know,
gray
Maggie
area
always
here.
changes the rules.
You might be right about that, Mike. I'm sorry. I had to let you go. Thank you for that, though. Great contribution. Great call. Obviously, my brethren from upstate New York, I always love. So we went back and forth on this. It was a little bit of a gray area because it was obviously people who played their professional careers in these cities, but how do you honor individual athletes? What do you do with a Joe Louis? What do you do with Serena? What do you do even with a Oscar De La Hoya, who maybe could have been on LA's Mount Olympus as far as a sports god, although, it's been up and down a little with Oscar.
Yeah.
So the way that we decided to do that, we needed a way for these individual sport athletes to get a shot, to be on these, to be a sports god. So we did it from where they're from or where they're associated with most.
It's so funny because I thought about Carl Lewis too, because obviously his claim to fame was the LA Olympics. And I knew he had a strong LA, but he went to University of Houston and he's from New Jersey. So it would have been hard. I don't even know why I thought about him for LA, but don't you think him as an LA athlete?
So you want to know the other person I thought of, but this is, I knew you guys would be upset with me about it if I did this because
You're darn right.
It's not exactly true, but yet it feels like it to me, which was Jackie Robinson. So Jackie Robinson going to college at UCLA and being a 3-sport star, but more at UCLA, but then obviously played in Brooklyn, but then they left Brooklyn and came to LA, and he's honored most with the LA Dodgers.
Right, but he never played there.
Exactly. But he is, to me, very associated with the city of LA more than anything.
Ooh,
I know. And I didn't put him on there because I thought you guys would get mad about it.
Yeah, you hear the grunting over here.
I hear your grunts and groans.
I left Jackie Robinson. He was my 5th choice in New York. He's on the national Mount Olympus of sports gods, but he's not on. He didn't quite make New York. He's probably 5th on my list there. LA, I don't even have him in consideration. Because UCLA, too, he was like a 3-sport star, but not, I don't think he was like a Heisman candidate or anything. Like a college baseball player, we doing that?
They did say that he was almost as better at football than he was at baseball, but yeah, he was never in the contention for any Heisman trophies.
By the way, we forgot UCLA football. What's it? Don Beebe, the big guy?
How about Josh Rosen?
There's got to be some
There's a Mount Olympus of guys who had a hot tub in their dorm room.
Did Troy win a Heisman?
Oh, not a Heisman, but he was a good player at UCLA.
Yeah.
UCLA.
I was actually wondering.
I don't think they have another Heisman.
Gary Beeben. Sorry, what did I say? Don Beebe. Yeah. Gary Beeben was their Heisman Trophy winner.
Come on, Daddy.
Yeah, he's the only. Don Beebe would have been sick. Buffalo Bills wide receiver. But Gary Beeben is a big deal in L.A. Huge. John Wooden big.
Go Bills.
888-710-4ISM.
I have a guy that we haven't mentioned who I think and I do this, 9-year-old EJ would be very happy I'm mentioning him. And I think a lot of LA skaters would be excited to mention him. Tony Hawk.
Oh, Tony Hawk.
You want to talk about an icon in LA. Tony Hawk, he walks down the street. People know who he is. And you want to talk about video games, just the culture of what skateboarding means to Los Angeles. He definitely deserves some kind of honorable mention as well.
Funny dude on social media, too. He's hysterical.
No, Tony Hawk would be amazing. I actually thought about Laird Hamilton, too, in that vein a little bit also, as like one of the great surfers of all time.
Yeah.
Gabrielle Reese is his wife, who's also had a huge moment as a volleyball player and model. Yeah.
To be fair, though, Tony Hawk kind of came like a bunch of like big stars invented, like Stacy Peralta invented roller skating in Southern California. Then Hawk came along. Like skate.
Yeah, but Hawk is
he's
one
the icon,
of one.
But
when
I think
it comes
a lot
to
of,
skateboarding.
and I think a lot of skaters consider him a Johnny Come Lately in the sense like they were real revolutionaries.
Really?
He goes back to the 80s. No?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're like a hardcore. Yes, of course, Tony Hawk's a sports god, but I don't know that he would fit that for a lot of skateboarders. I have a good buddy who's a professional skateboarder.
Flex.
No, who I'll have to call in. He'll tell me, like, would you put Tony Hawk on there? Because remember those movies about the skateboarding, Dogtown? Like, those guys were like gods to Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk came up worshiping these other guys. Also, is he from L.A.? I don't think so.
No, but I feel like, I mean, I think he's definitely from California. I don't know if he's exactly from L.A., but I mean, the big skating culture and the X Games that he was participating in were in L.A. So we want to talk about performing in L.A., similar to Carl Lewis. Like, I think He absolutely fits there.
I want some skateboarders to call him.
LA.
I think actually, I know that sounds ridiculous, but I think like Tony Hawk in that world might not be viewed the same way we think he is.
That's
That's crazy to me.
But, I mean,
We're talking about
you could be
sports
right. I have no
gods?
idea.
Well,
I
like-
know as a kid, like Tony Hawk was the Michael Jordan of X Games.
Who are we talking about? Bob Burnquist?
Like
or something?
I don't like to me he was it. So yes, there are older guys, I'm sure. I just don't know if they were nearly as famous or as iconic overall to the city.
Yeah, I hear you.
By the way, Tony Hawk's name is not. Well, I guess his name is Anthony Hawk. I was like, his name's not Tony Hawk. Anthony Frank Hawk.
I'm jaw dropped that you guys left out LA Galaxy legend David Beckham from this list.
Landon Donovan too.
Oh, that's actually a good one.
Mr. LA.
Yeah.
Although I think he just moved out of LA. Who was the one you said? Beckham?
David Beckham, yes.
Bogusch was serious about Wayne Gretzky, and I don't really remember it that well, but he was a big deal out there.
Well, as far as hockey in LA and taking it to another level, but he won with Edmonton.
Yeah, but I think he was, when he was there, was maybe the biggest star in the city, believe it or not.
I believe it. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. The four sports gods of Los Angeles. You're welcome to weigh in. I had a moment yesterday that got us thinking, because we're not going to see stuff like this a lot. And when it happens, you got to pay attention to it.
What a disgrace.
No, in a good way. Good things happening yesterday that we have to pay attention to. I'll tell you exactly what we mean next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining.
Bob Custer in Nevada. 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 Do you remember him, or are you too young? Bob Custer in Nevada. Bob Custer in Nevada. Bob Custer in Nevada. Bob Custer in Nevada. Bob Custer in Nevada.
3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Perloff Show. This guy's from L.A.? Kendrick Lamar? I had no idea.
Compton, California. You ever heard of that place?
I had no idea. I mean, if we were going to do, by the way, we're doing Mount Olympus, Sports Gods, every major sports city. Today is L.A. If we were doing music, now that would be interesting for L.A.
Impossible.
That'd be so hard.
I mean, you got the Beach Boys.
Beach Boys, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Dre, Snoop.
Oh, my God. I think to even be on that, you'd have to write mostly songs about L.A. and the beach. You can't be... because the Beach Boys only wrote about L.A. and so did Dre for a long time.
I told Manny, I was like, oh, you've only been playing L.A. artists this whole time. And he goes, welcome to the show. Manny also alerted me the fact that another slump was busted over the weekend. Another drought was broken.
Wait, hold on. I want to prepare for the Bogusch eye roll. Go ahead. I'm staring at Andrew Bogusch, who's sitting here. Go ahead.
Roll your eyes, Bogey.
No, I need to know what slump's been busted.
Yeah, this is not any of the personal lives here of anyone who may or may not be on the show. This is, Manny, tell us again. Coco Gauff, American tennis player.
Coco Gauff becomes the first American to win at Roland Garros since 2015. Serena Williams. So a 10-year drought has been busted for Americans winning.
I got to allow this one. No eye roll.
It's also,
Thank you.
It's also a very long drought of someone named Coco winning that tournament. Yeah. What are we doing here? We're making up stuff left and right.
No, Pearl.
This is a thing.
It's the year of the drought buster. You just got to roll with it. I was just right about this.
Here's the rule. If no one had ever talked about this drought in this room, if no one had ever said before the French Open, hey, do you know it's been 10 years since an American had won there? It has to be brought up before the actual title.
Pearl,
when was the last time an American won at Wimbledon?
This is such a big one, Pearl. We don't have to acknowledge it. It's like the Billy Goat in Chicago or the Curse of the Bambino. It's baked in.
It's a little more of a men's tennis conversation. Because American men in particular have struggled to win in Paris. Jack Sock did not bust that slump.
When's the last time they won a major of...
Andy Roddick, maybe?
Is it Roddick in his 2003 U.S. Open?
Yeah.
That's a lot. So. Forget the French Open. They can't win any Open.
But even then, we were already talking about when's the next American men going to win in Paris.
I've definitely heard that.
So...
I watched a whole documentary on Netflix about these guys who are can't even two finals.
Wait,
runs.
Carlos Alcaraz isn't from Memphis, Tennessee?
Not yet.
We'll try to adopt him, but I think it's going to be really hard.
Anyway, Chuck first, then Alcaraz.
This counts.
My God.
2025 year of the drought buster.
But here's the thing. If you take in these weak ones, it's going to water down your whole argument, which is legitimately great. You don't want to make up ones.
It just adds to the list. It's like when you list all the Cleveland Browns quarterback, but this is in a good way. It's just like the laundry list.
If you do Canada wins a cup, UConn women break a 10-year drought, and then you say
Pacers,
Rory,
Thunder.
And then you say Coco Gauff broke the American women's streak at French Open. People are like, I'm out.
No, they'll be like, all right, I'm rolling with it. It's just like it's gathering momentum.
I would take that one out. I think that one's going to hurt you, Mag, in the long run. Obviously, you're rooting so hard for the Oilers.
Oh my gosh, Edmonton! I'm so in. I'm financially
Huge
invested.
game for you tonight.
I got a really big game tonight.
Yeah, that was, by the way,
My whole reputation,
the stress level of
Some
that.
say your career as well.
Game 2.
Some.
Can you imagine? I don't know how many hardcore Florida Panthers fans are. The stress level of an overtime final hockey game.
Double
overtime.
That's ridiculous. That's
I think
off
it might
the
be the
charts.
most
Because I, of
stressful
course, I'm
playoff
rooting for the
game.
Panthers because I'm against the year of the drought, except for the T-shirt, which is awesome.
Might be the most stressful playoff atmosphere.
I think so.
I think that in baseball for me.
Yeah, those two.
Late baseball game. It's just I'd want to rather die.
Is there anything that's more intense than 2 outs, bottom of the ninth, like down by 1, like tie run at the plate? Or I don't know if we get bigger than that. PKs maybe in a World Cup or something like that.
Those are big. Overtime hockey is very stressful because it changes in a heartbeat.
Right. I mean, it's literally sudden death. Like at least the score might not. You might need a base runner to get on before it gets dicey in baseball or whatever. Like this is there are no mistakes,
and it happens so fast too. That's the
Right.
one thing about hockey that's a little different than the other sports. Yeah, I mean,
that's
it's
why
a good argument.
I think that's why baseball gets the most dramatic because everything's drawn out. Even with the pitch clock now makes it a little bit, but like hockey, overtime sometimes ends 2 seconds into the overtime.
Yeah.
With baseball, you're getting some kind of drama.
But if you're in extra innings in baseball, at least in the top half, it's a little less stressful because there's the answer. You can come up in the bottom half. Like,
one mistake to the wrong guy in the bottom half.
But in reality, how many times are we in a World Series or with a decisive game and in that situation? It happens all the time in hockey. Pretty much, it's happened 2 games right now. Right? Was the first game overtime?
First game was not overtime.
Oh, sorry. Okay, but it was.
Yeah, but first game came down to what? The final 30 seconds of the game? That's when the game winner was scored, no?
No, it wasn't that late in game 1. I don't think so.
I'm telling you, we asked what is going to be better, the NHL Stanley Cup final or the NBA finals?
The Stanley Cup final.
Not close right now. Game 1 of the NBA finals was good.
Was amazing.
Well, I mean,
But
listen,
still,
Game 2 was amazing as well.
2 great. I think that's 2 great.
Who
Stanley
knows
Cup
with the
finals.
Pacers, by the way? We say that a little too quick, and I'm one who says it's going to be a Thunder gentleman's sweep, but still with the Pacers, do not count them out for drama.
Quickly, Dominic is in San Francisco. The 4 sports gods are Mount Olympus. Dom, today we're doing the city of Los Angeles. Who's on your Mount Olympus?
I've got to. Hey, can I ask you a question first?
Sure, go ahead.
When are you doing San Francisco, and have you done Chicago yet?
So San Francisco is, EJ will grab it, I want to say June 16th.
Yeah, so San Francisco Bay Area. So we're doing Bay Area, so Oakland and San Francisco, June 16th.
June 16th. Mark your calendar for that one. And no, we have not done Chicago yet. What day is that?
That's going to be June 27th. That's towards the end of this tour.
And who's tomorrow?
Tomorrow we got the ATL. We're going to Hotlanta.
And then Wednesday is DC?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I got the sports cards for Los Angeles ready. And by the way, Chicago will be the easiest 4 for everybody to pick.
We've done Chicago. We've worked on Chicago. It's going to be, there are some real
It's going to be
sports
easy.
gods
It's
there.
going to be a slam dunk.
Well, one might be a slam dunk champion, but that's one spot.
Okay, for Los Angeles, the Wizard of Westwood. He's got the name Wizard in there. Wizards are affiliated with God. So John Wooden is in. Next, Jerry West. He's the logo. If you're a logo, you're in. The last 2 are, and this was tough, Don Drysdale and Sandy Koufax.
So we didn't have Drysdale. Perloff, I think you felt bad about that. We both
Yeah,
had Koufax on the Mount Olympus. Dom, thank you so much, dude. Appreciate that. Look forward to hearing from you.
That's an old school one. I like all those choices. How did he put Jerry West with 1 title over Kareem and Magic?
I said he's the logo.
And he built the Lakers. He built the Kobe Shaq Lakers. He built the dynasty.
So that was like when I got crucified for putting Steve Yzerman on my Detroit Mount Olympus over Gordie Howe.
Rightly so.
Because I said not only did Yzerman win, but he also is in the front office contributing to more titles. That would have been the Jerry West factor.
Yeah, but there's no Kobe and Shaq of hockey playing for Stevie Y's Red Wings. I think that's the thing. And West was also in the front office during the Showtime Lakers.
Yeah.
He's like Mr. Laker.
He is, right, but putting over Magic feels tough to me.
I can't do that, but he's another guy I really felt bad leaving off because he also may be the greatest, like, definitely basketball executive, maybe sports executive.
I think it'd be a huge mistake to put him over Kobe too, because Kobe won 5 titles. I mean, titles are everything, and it's a ring sport.
I have a question.
Yeah.
We're giving no consideration to Shaquille O'Neal. And I know Shaq played for a million teams, and at the end he was bouncing around, but he's got a statue outside of crypto.com, and it's not going to be Magic level because there's not I played my whole career for one team type of thing or Kobe, but I mean, Shaq was a huge deal, and I think he still associates himself most with LA.
Yeah, but I think if you're doing I don't even think he makes a first-team All-Lakers team.
No, it says I'm
probably be like I've actually seen this. Like if you're just doing Mount Olympus of just Lakers, he ain't on there. So how can you put him on the Mount Olympus of the whole thing?
Because we're talking about God figures. You know, we're talking about there's a lot of things that go into that, right? And Shaq, this larger than life personality, and you know this. I don't know. It's just like that we're giving no consideration to him whatsoever. Maybe that's a mistake.
Sorry about that, America.
Yeah, I don't see that. I mean, busy play to me because the thing is with the Lakers, you have such legends. Honestly, I think you could make a great argument. Elgin Baylor and Will Chamberlain are right, not far behind Shaq either. And also let's not forget our guy LeBron there.
Yeah, I don't think LeBron's he made the Cleveland.
Oh, that's where I got the Mount Hades. I was gonna say Bronny as a joke, and I totally forgot to do this.
And let's not forget
If someone had said LeBron James Jr., that would have been. You asked me why did I do a Hades with Ipe earlier in the show? It's because I was looking at a list of athletes. I say someone had LeBron James Jr. as notable athletes who play in LA, and I laughed so hard.
Well, fair, notable. We do remark on it quite often. Yeah. If you want to get technical, and of course,
infamy.
Yeah, of course, Ipe is Shohei Ohtani's former interpreter who was found guilty of embezzling $17 million from him to pay off gambling debts.
Pocket change.
I mean, you have the entire history of the Los Angeles Clippers as far as notorious.
Where does Sean Livingston fall on this rankings for LA Kings?
No. Well, I mean, something bad happened to him.
Yeah, that's a shame.
He got hurt.
He came back and had a nice little second act.
All right,
Very
fine.
good.
Where's DeAndre Jordan rank on this list? Chris Paul.
No, you got worse guys than that. You got to go
Tobias Harris.
You got to go to like Corey Maggette and like Olin Polynice. Like, you got to go to like the real.
Weren't we just talking about Darius Miles the other day? Wasn't he on that team?
Yeah, Darius Miles. You got to go back to the dark ages of the Clippers.
Who is the greatest Clipper of all time? Is that an obvious answer? I mean,
I think it's Blake Griffin.
Blake came in second in MVP voting once. I'm a huge Blake Griffin fan. But I don't know.
Is Randy Smith still the all-time leading point scorer for the Clippers? Buffalo State grad. Go Bengals.
Is it Kawhi? It can't be Kawhi.
No,
I really think it's Blake Griffin.
Yeah, I agree.
He was the best player during their best run as an organization, right? Like him and Chris Paul. Like those would be the two guys. They were kind of a tandem. But I would say Blake Griffin, number one pick. Definitely lived up to the hype. If he didn't another guy who also got hurt, if he didn't get hurt, maybe he would have had more success. It's tough list to crack. I mean, we also got Bob McAdoo who played for the Buffalo Braves, but
that's right.
They were not the Clippers, but
Randy Smith, still the leading scorer. Good call, man.
Go Bengals. Let's go Bengals. Buff State, baby. Randy Smith, myself, and Peter Schwartz.
That's a Mount something or something.
That's a Mount Olympus. Mount Olympus
Randy Smith has burned his diploma.
Mount Olympus of Buffalo, New York. Randy Smith, myself, Peter Schwartz, Josh Allen. Boom.
So easy. It just rolls off the tongue that way.
Hey.
Bogusch has updates for us. What's up?
If I may, just some house cleaning, despite the fact that I wrote probably 7 updates and definitely 1 sports minute last week. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final did, in fact, go to overtime as well as Game 2.
Yeah, bad job.
Who's that make the hockey expert?
You can have it. Right, you can have it. But I still have Gretzky in my top 4, my Mount Olympus. So
people have been saying Gretzky should have been on this list.
Yes, I agree.
I'm seeing a lot of Vin Scully.
I thought about that
Vin
too.
is killing us. Maggie, why did you let me not do Vin Scully?
I assumed you were. That's why I left him off and put Serena there, because I thought I was going to get you that way.
Perloff keeps saying that Boston's the hardest. I still think LA is the hardest because of these kind of wild card people like Vin Scully, like Serena, because she's on a team sport, and Gretzky feels wild cardish as a king, and hockey, it's not full of Dodgers, it's not full of Lakers. Like, LA's very hard.
Well, and that's, EJ brought in Tony Hawk and people like that who are just these huge figures, and that would be very LA to put a skateboard on.
We haven't touched upon the Mexicans that have graced LA.
I was going to say, Oscar de la Hoya was Mexican-American.
How about Fernando Valenzuela? Fernando Valenzuela, you put him on any Mexican, the gravity that he had in that era for the Mexican baseball fans in that area.
Yeah.
God bless
How about
him.
that
God
one
bless
year
his
when
soul.
Manny Ramirez went there and they had that thing in left field?
Manny Wood.
That was amazing. I was a huge fan of
Number
him in LA.
99.
Well, it's possible that Shohei should be on now. You're talking about cultural significance and having a Japanese baseball player. And
Well, after last year's playoffs, put Freddie on there too. And everyone loves Mookie.
No, we're doing
That's
Atlanta
4.
tomorrow. Freddie Freeman maybe in Atlanta. Anyway, let's go to Bogusch.
Except for 2 games late in the regular season after they had clinched the top overall seed, the Thunder haven't lost back-to-back games since November. They salvage a split at home to start the NBA Finals with a comprehensive 123-107 decision over the Pacers last night. Head coach Mark Daigneault on improving on almost everything from game 1.
Indiana's kind of an acquired taste. We haven't played them a ton. They're not in the West, obviously, and they play a very distinct style on both ends. And I thought there were a lot of things tonight that we were just like a little better in and more comfortable.
The Thunder never let the Pacers back in this game after grabbing control with a 17-2 second quarter run. They were +8 on the glass after being -17 in game 1. And the supporting cast supported 19 points from Jalen Williams, 15 from Chet Holmgren, and 18 off the bench from Aaron Wiggins, all while Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 34. For Indy, just 17 points from Tyrese Halliburton, only 15 from Pascal Siakam.
They were super aggressive. Which is what they do. They're disruptive kind of team. So, I think we got to watch the film and just find ways to. No matter what, still be us. So we got to figure it out. I don't have the answers right now.
The Pacers are going home with a split, which is good, but this is the first time this postseason they're not up 2-0 to start a series. Game 3 in Indy on Wednesday night. The Packers are releasing veteran corner Jair Alexander today after failing to agree on a rework deal after Alexander missed large portions of the last 2 seasons. There was also a failed trade or two this break. He joins Stephon Gilmore, Russell Douglas, and Asante Samuel Jr. on the cornerback market, plus Jalen Ramsey, we assume, remains available in Miami. Sunday Night Baseball in the Bronx, the Red Sox riding 5 homers to an 11-7 win in their rubber game over the Yankees. But don't worry, Manny, the Yankees season not over, according to Aaron Judge.
Message, just keep going. We've lost a couple series already this year. It's just another series.
Just keep going.
It's June 9th.
Just keep going. No pouting.
I'm not tripping over this. It's June 9th.
Judge a pair of 2-run homers in defeat. Arkansas, LSU, Arizona, Oregon State, UCLA, and Louisville all reached the Men's College World Series yesterday. The last open spot in Omaha comes down to Duke and baseball powerhouse Murray State today at 7 Eastern.
Marcus Stroman against John Morant to start
MLS last night. Portland rallied for a 2-1 win over St. Louis FC. LAFC topped Sporting KC 3-1. Denny Hamlin won that NASCAR Cup Series race at Michigan International Speedway. And Ryan Fox beat Sam Burns on their 4th playoff hole at the Canadian Open.
That is a stressful situation.
That's
by the way.
golf.
Yep.
Playoff golf.
Because it was 4 holes, you said, for the playoffs?
You're standing over a
hole.
putt, knowing what's at stake, especially at the big Canadian Open.
Yeah.
But I would panic so bad in that situation.
Well, wasn't it the guy who was like basically the best putter on tour missed a 7-footer that even sent this to a playoff?
Sure.
Okay.
I think Fox hit it like an eagle to get it there, too. Like, this was a crazy, crazy tournament.
The most stressful thing in sports. I mean, standing over a putt, that's pretty big. There were a couple stressful moments in that French Open final for the men's side, too.
Oh, my God. What a game.
I think
Fifth set tiebreaker?
Rory standing over putt might be the most anxiety.
For the fans.
Yeah, I mean, just the most, because I think golf is slow. You mentioned baseball is slow, so the stress builds up.
Mm-hmm.
Golf does that too. At least tennis, you're running around.
Late free throw.
What about free throw to win it?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
remember Memphis' Darius Washington, who the clock was out and he had 3 free throws to win the game. Missed the last 2, and he cried on the free throw line. Like
Nick Anderson missing that free throw against the Rockets.
Yeah, that's another one.
Kind of ended the entire Magic franchise.
They changed their logo.
Man.
I'm excited about the new logo. It was awesome.
You know what? How about, do you guys remember a certain play? It was in the corner of the end zone, time running out in a football game, Baltimore, Buffalo. Was that a 2-point conversion that Mark Andrews dropped? I can't even remember.
Yeah.
That was a lot of stress.
Shockingly, you brought up one that worked out for the Bills.
Yeah. At first, I thought this was going to be a Philly special.
I wasn't sure where he was
Super
going.
Bowl winning kick.
Yeah, then I saw Buffalo. I was like, oh, no.
That's
like,
it. Vinatieri standing over the field. That's a lot of stress.
Go Bills.
That
Norwood. Sorry. I mean, how do we not
had
say that?
Vinatieri, okay? We're going with Vinatieri.
But he hit his.
Yeah, well, that's
Always.
when it works out.
Did Scotty hit his? I wasn't born.
It was far. It was like 28 yards. It was,
Yeah.
it was a far kick. He was back in Buffalo.
Game was in
Very,
Tampa.
very windy. Places were in.
He was at Anchor Bar.
Yeah.
Look at the pain.
Everyone else was at Anchor Bar, including 8-year-old me.
Scott Norwood went to Anchor Bar after the game.
No, he wasn't allowed.
The most stressful thing you could possibly do in sports. Can I tell you
Got
what?
exiled down to Fredonia.
Where people have said that they're the most electric feeling that I've heard being in a stadium is the seconds before the men's 100-meter dash in the Olympics. Apparently, that energy is something that people say just doesn't compare to other sports.
Yeah, but that Noah Lyles guy.
I didn't want to bring it up for fear that I get roasted yet again by the internet for saying you can't brag about being the fastest man in the world when you win by 1/100th of a second.
I haven't been in that environment, but to me, what's more exciting is actually when they do the 4x100. Like when it's like a team of people and like it's I don't know, something about that is even more exciting to me. Now you're rooting for an actual country behind everybody in terms of just pure like anxiety.
The only thing is though with that you have all people. There's just a lot more people. This is just the guys right out there. Just that's it, and you know it's going to be over in 10 seconds.
I know, but that one where Usain Bolt ran down that guy from the Americans, that was electric. That's one of the greatest sports things I've ever seen. We'll talk about a relay race.
Yeah.
Incredible stuff. So that's another great moment, I think, too.
The most dramatic moments that can happen in sports. We'll do that another time. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Bogusch, thank you so much. I'm going to tell you, I could give you 1,000 guesses, and you would not come up with where one superstar was photographed yesterday. Again, 1,000 guesses, and you would not come up with this.
Melbourne, Australia.
Manny's house.
Bogusch's house.
Jalen Brunson took a visit.
The fact that no one did a your mom joke there, I'm really proud of us.
Bob's Bar.
1,000 guesses, you would not know where this person was yesterday, where they were photographed. We'll do that next, M&P.
Go Bills.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. I said before the break, I'd give you 1,000 guesses, Pearl, about where one sports star was photographed. I don't know, it was yesterday, the other day. Let's just put that. Photographed recently, 1,000 guesses. Now, I'll give you the athlete. Victor Wembanyama.
Oh, all right. I saw this one.
Victor Wembanyama.
I would say coach in an airplane.
Yeah, that would
can't fit his legs in.
Wildly uncomfortable. Victor Wembanyama, the Spurs basketball star, was photographed at a Shaolin temple with a head shaved. He's doing a tour through China, so we know he was at the Great Wall of China with a full head of hair. Then he's at a Shaolin temple in the robes that a monk would wear with a head shaved, looking very solemn and respectful. And yeah, Victor Wembanyama at a Shaolin temple. If I'd given you 1,000 guesses, would you have gotten to that?
Did not have that on my bingo card. Reminds me so much of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who started studying Eastern philosophy, famously was involved with Bruce Lee. He is going to be like Kareem. And Kareem used this to become a much better basketball player because his balance got really good. I think this is all good for Wemby. New face of the NBA in 2 years.
Well, I was thinking about that. Like, we're waiting for his not waiting, but we're expecting his ascension is going to happen where he becomes the face of the league. Is this the final piece of the puzzle? You know, you got the athleticism, you've got the physicality, now the spiritual aspect of it. The enlightenment, if you will, of going to be with the monks.
Yeah, I mean, that's not normally how we look at like is his handle good enough? Is usually we look at not where is his moves, not where is his soul or what level of Buddhism he's at.
I'm actually not surprised by this because he's such a 360-degree kind of guy. He's like the ultimate modern athlete. Where,
how so? You had said that. What's he do besides this?
Like, they've been tracking his sleep, I think, since he was like in 8th grade or whatever the equivalent is that in France. Like,
no way.
Yeah, he It's
They've been tracking an 8-year-old sleep.
Not 8-year-olds old, but I think pretty close. I think that if you read everything about him, it's like he has just been singularly focused on being the best athlete he can be and the best basketball player he can be for such a long time that I'm not surprised this holistic approach, I don't know, is becoming more in focus.
Interesting. I mean, the only thing that's stopping him from total dominance is health, which we saw this year. But that team, oh my God, talk about a team to watch this offseason. They're going to put an all-star team around him. Like, it's got to happen soon.
He had the deep vein thrombosis in his shoulder, so that was a little disturbing, the blood clots, but he should be ready to go. Big Friendly is our pal in California. Big Friendly, today we did the Mount Olympus of Maggie Perloff, the 4 sports gods from L.A. Who do you have?
All right, real quick. There's going to be more greats left off than you could put on. So I'm going to go like this. We're going to go Aaron Donald of the Rams. We're going to go Fernando Valenzuela of the Los Angeles Dodgers. We're going to go Teemu Solani from the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. The lights are out. The butter's hardened. The jello jiggling and the eggs are cooling. Schick Hearns.
Pretty good.
This is good. I forgot about Teemu Solani. That is a good one.
Can you put mine up against your guys' and see what people think?
You want to do a sub poll? I'm going to leave that to
Yes,
EJ
please.
the EP for that one.
Yeah, EJ the EP, can you put up and see how Big Friendly did against Daddy Cool today?
You think that Aaron Donald still gets sports god? We were talking about football in L.A., Big Friendly, and how we felt like the Lakers, the Dodgers. I put Serena Williams on mine because she's famously from L.A. Like, do you think that football rises to the level of sports gods in L.A.?
Okay, well then let's do this. Let's scratch Aaron and let's put Deacon Jones, the man who coined the phrase sack.
Yeah.
Let's put Deacon on there instead of Aaron then.
Hey, Big Friendly, can I pitch one LA person we haven't mentioned? You know who I feel like is iconic? Maybe not the greatest player. Steve Garvey was like Mr. Dodger, too.
And then a politician, right?
Yeah, we have mentioned him once.
It's funny you said that because this weekend I wrote down 4 different ones and Steve Garvey was on 2 of them.
Yeah. Because I was thinking the Fernando
Steve Garvey
era.
got bumped today for Schick Hearns.
I mean,
I think people would be surprised that Solani. Well, we left off Gretzky, which is for the LA Kings. Solani's obviously different, but he's a god. Yeah, tell me.
But Magsy, okay, Wayne Gretzky won all his Stanley Cups in Edmonton.
Yeah, that's
no
why.
Disrespect to Stanley. Teemu brought Stanley Cups to Anaheim for the Ducks. So I'm looking at it when you look at a retirement. Wayne Gretzky is always going to be the man who brought hockey to L.A. That's why I started watching it. Teemu Solani got championships for the Ducks franchise that just was made in 93, 92, I think it was.
Yeah. No, off of a Disney movie. I mean, everything, it screams L.A.
Yeah, so we got to give Teemu some type of respect because even Paul Correa didn't win a Stanley Cup for the Ducks. He took them there, but Teemu got us over that hump.
Man, Big Friendly, solid call today.
I don't
usual.
know. I love Big Friendly. I'm not agreeing with Teemu Solani. If you're going to take an Anaheim athlete, how about a 3-time MVP?
Mike Trout?
Is he 3? Yeah. But he didn't win.
Yeah, but if we're talking about winner.
Yeah, but I mean, he's doing sports gods. Are you going to put Mike Trout below Teemu Solani?
How about Big Friendly, who went with Chick Hearn over Vin Scully, as far as voices?
Yeah, well, he was going against what he's heard, which, I mean, those are brilliant choices. Fernando Mania was a big deal, too. That we didn't even get into that. Gosh, LA's tough.
I always think of Fernando Valenzuela as like Mount Olympus of rookies, debuts.
Oh, just brief, incredible bursts of national news, like Jeremy Lin. Like Fernando came on the scene and left, unfortunately, too soon.
Thank you, DJ Stewart. Thank you to Manny Rodriguez. Thank you, Andrew Bogusch, Andrew Kaplan. Got new interns today. This is a lot of fun, hanging out. Appreciate you guys on the phone. So tomorrow, the Mount Olympus of Maggie and Perloff continues. We head to Atlanta. See you then.